evening. We will now call this meeting to order. We will have the invocation by the Bishop Charlie Williams from the House of God Pentecostal Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance with Councilwoman Walden. Please stand with me.
So we bow our heads in a word of prayer. Father, in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we come before thy throne of grace, thy throne of mercy. We come with bowed heads and humble heart. We come, Lord, beseeching the God of mercy. You are the Father, and we are your children, and we need your presence, Lord, in the council's chambers tonight. Lord, we pray thy blessing upon both women and men that is presiding over the business of this city of Homestead, that whatever they do and whatever they say, Lord, will be a blessing to the community and be a blessing to the ones that they are serving. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Do we have the police explorers?
No, they're going to be absent tonight.
Okay, I just couldn't tell. Please join with me in pledging our great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Here.
Councilwoman Lovells? Here. Councilman McCormick?
Here.
Councilman Nelson?
Here.
Councilwoman Sierra? Here. Councilwoman Waldman? Here. Mayor Bell?
Here. Thank you. Additions, deletions, and deferrals?
Mayor and Council, tab 16 has been deferred by staff.
We're also moving all of the appointments on the very end, all of them. Under Mayor Bell's appointments, we're all moving them after the consent agenda. Special presentations, soup kitchen presentation, Vice Mayor Burgess.
If there's any members of the Mayor's Youth Council, come on up, please. There's so many people, they may even be outside. But anyway, what we're doing, the Mayor's Youth Council is getting ready to start their second major project, and what we've decided to do is a food drive for Homestead Soup Kitchen, which Mr. Jensen sits on the board of. And one of the reasons that we came up with doing it for the Christmas time was, and Mr. Jensen spoke about it, is that everybody remembers food during the Thanksgiving season, but during Christmas time and that time of need that most families are forgotten, and they're given teddy bears or bicycles and stuff. So we thought it would be a great opportunity for the Mayor's Youth Council, the members here, and some to give back to our community by starting a food drive for a time when food really isn't on people's minds, and try to build on that and make that a great thing. And if I could get Mr. Jensen just to give a brief explanation of the needs and what the soup kitchen does for the city of Homestead and surrounding communities, I'd appreciate it.
We all know what the economy is like now. At the soup kitchen, we're feeding at least 350 people a day, men, women, and children. And we do that 3 times a week, and then we provide food to take home for the days in between. I want to add that First United Methodist Church has a food pantry, and last Saturday we gave 3 days food to 309 families, and in those 309 families there were 1,700 and some individuals, mostly children. So we do have hungry children in this community. And I really want to thank the Youth Council members for stepping up and taking this as a really important mission. And I also want to thank the City Council, because you've been very gracious and helpful in the past. And fortunately, we don't have to come to you for help right now. So thank you.
Just a couple more brief things. We're going to start this food drive on, I believe, Monday, December the 1st, and end it on a Friday, December the 19th, if I have I know the dates are right, if I have the days right. So far, we've got the YMCA as a drop-off spot. We're going to use the City Hall Council Chambers door back there, hallway in the back there. We're going to use the Chamber of Commerce building as a drop-off. And we're still looking for other sites, so if anybody has any great ideas of where a strategic spot might be, we'll take all recommendations and help. One thing he did not mention is, if anybody here is interested, we're looking for rice, big bags of rice, dry beans, gallon-sized cans, because for them to open up a lot of little cans every day is very time-consuming, and everybody that works at the soup kitchen is a volunteer. There's not one paid person that works over there at all, so we try to help them out, and we're looking for gallon-sized cans. BJ's, I think, and Winn-Dixie are a couple places that sell them. So those are the type of things that we're looking for, and we're getting ready to go on, like I said, December 1st. We'll be starting this food drive and ending it on December the 19th, and I know that the citizens of Homestead will help out its needy people, and we thank you very much. And Mayor, if I could do one other thing, I know you said you were going to wait till after the consent agenda, but since I've got the Mayor's Youth Council with 4 new names up there, I'd like to see if we could possibly go ahead and move them while they were standing up here in front of us.
I will entertain that motion at this time. I'll second. It's been probably moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes carry. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Mayor's Youth Council. Excellence in Financial Reporting Award Presentation, Councilwoman Lobos.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, and again, I come before you as Chair of the Finance Committee, and I'm going to present a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting that was presented to the City of Homestead, and here to accept the award is Jan Smith, our Director of Finance here in the city. And this is an award for its comprehensive annual financial report for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2007, and it reads, a Certificate of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting is presented by the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada to government units and public employee retirement systems whose comprehensive annual financial reports achieve the highest standards in government accounting and financial reporting. So, Ms. Smith, it's a pleasure again to present you this award.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lobos. Mayor, Council, City Manager, it's a great sense of honor that I accept this, the 6th consecutive Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 2007 Comprehensive Annual Financial Statement. Special recognition is due to Christy Vizcaino, the Assistant Finance Director, for most of the technical aspects of compiling the statements. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here this evening.
Yay, Christy. Give her a hand.
And I also want to commend the entire Finance Department, without whose efforts achievement of this award would not have been possible. I also would like to commend the department directors for their efforts to ensure the accuracy of the financial data supplied to the Finance Department, and to thank them for supplying all of the additional information that was requested. Thank you all.
Mr. Manager.
Mayor, council members, I also, on behalf of the City Manager's Office and the rest of the directors, I'd like to congratulate Jan and her team. They do an outstanding job. I know she said, working with the directors, I can't tell you all the directors love to work with Jan, and that's not something common, by the way, with finance directors. But she's a great lady. Her team are all of them great. So congratulations, Jan.
And Jan, that's why we stole you away from our accountant. That's why we stole you away. It was worth it. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Go ahead, go ahead. Next item on the agenda is the Kindness Award presentation with Councilwoman Waltman.
First of all, I'm going to apologize. I've been nursing a cold and I've had laryngitis, so I hope you can all hear me and understand me, and please forgive the cough drop that I have in my mouth. But this is such an exciting night for me because of the Kindness Awards that I'm about to announce tonight. First of all, I want to thank the community for embracing these awards. It's been something that I've been doing since 2002, and it's because I just feel that there are so many, many wonderful people in the city of Homestead that do so many unselfish and kind acts for others and often go unrecognized or noticed for their entire lifetime. So, first of all, for those of you that submitted names and those names aren't called tonight, I beg you to resubmit those names next year, because we received so many nominations that it took our committee over an hour to go over them and read them, and then we had to make some very, very, very hard decisions. The nominations were amazing this year, and the choices were so very difficult. So, with that being said, I would like to honor and recognize my committee members and ask them to come forward as I read their name. They're going to be helping with the presentations this year. Bob Jensen, he's busy tonight. Nita Jensen, David Suarez, and William Davis, and last year's winners, Clara Waterman-Powell and Ed Powell. I'm going to keep these away from them for just a little bit, but I'm going to give each one of them a certificate of appreciation for their service as 2008 Homestead Community Kindness Award Committee members. So you'll each be taking one of these home, but they have work to do right now. So, excuse me. Sherry does such a good job. She was hiding the names, so we had them in bags, so we had to do one at a time. There were so many wonderful acts of kindness that were done throughout the city this year that we ended up separating them into 4 kindness awards. And it's my privilege tonight to be the first one to present the first award. And I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't see. The first award is called the Behind the Scenes Kindness Award. And I hope that these people are in the audience, because there's so many people here tonight I can't see them, but we'll take our chances. This is someone who does just that. She is behind the scenes. She works totally behind the scenes. She is constantly showing kindness, giving of her time, and without expecting anything at all in return. She's a very busy lady, but this has not stopped her from being a kind and giving person. She already takes responsibilities for making sure that those in need of assistance are always given a helping hand. Out of love and respect for all the many people she has helped, the 2 people who nominated her have asked that the individuals remain anonymous. And that's why she is our behind the scenes. She just doesn't expect anything in return. But I wanted to share one particular story with you tonight. The winner of this award adopted an elderly vet, and among the many things she did for him was to purchase a memorial stone, a memorial brick in Losner Park. And when she took him to see it, he broke down in tears, and when he saw the brick, he knew, and he said aloud that he would always be remembered after he was gone. She has taken people for treatments, doctor's appointments, banking, grocery shopping, and so much, much more. She has spent endless hours of time doing research for those who need help, as well as helping the sick put their affairs in order before they take their final journey. This nomination was made by Norma and Roger Souter, and I would like to present the first award tonight, the Behind the Scene Kindness Award, to Carol Harris. I think she's surprised. You deserve it so much. And with that being said, the first award tonight. Would you like to say anything?
I was supposed to be going to Walgreens. And since I'm on a diet, I thought he was going to make you walk across the street. I said, what are we doing here?
She's shaking. She's shaking. I'm going to ask all of our winners to stand over here because we'll be stepping into the back to take some pictures. Congratulations, Carol. At this time, I will ask Clara and Ed to make the next presentation.
When we travel, people say, where are you from? And we say, Florida, city of Homestead. And then they say, oh, I know Homestead. And then we say our community. We say Pioneer Village, we say Waterstone, we say Keysgate, we say the villages. We are defined by our neighborhoods, and our neighbors define our neighborhoods for us. We are so touched and able to present this award to one of the many unsung heroes in our neighborhoods. We have neighbors who go out of the way to do things for us and don't ask in return. And we want to honor one of these tonight. He's mowed lawns. People thought the grass just wasn't growing. He's cut down trees, and I understand from the nomination he fell out of it. He loves to jump into a Santa suit or a bunny suit. He works for the children of the community in soccer. He is proud to be an American in our country and takes pride in all he does. He's a very special person, and he goes out of his way to help anyone and is always willing to help. Anytime you need a helping hand, you can depend on Roy. And he was nominated by Judy, Jewel, James, from the Suttons. Thank you. Is Roy Langston here?
I just wanted to say that this is called the Good Neighbor Kindness Award, and when we saw the nomination, Roy's from the villages of Homestead. I didn't know him until I'd seen him this evening. I have been involved with him many occasions at the Audubon Center, so I do know him quite a bit, and we kind of connected by various activities. So this is presented to Roy Langston as the Good Neighbor Kindness Award of the Year.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Oh, sorry. I have to tell you a secret about Roy. Recently, one of our police officers had hip surgery, and this man, where did he go? Back here. He mowed the grass he took care of everything, garbage, everything. Anybody that's sick in the villages of Homestead or any other community, he's over there pulling out the landscaping, planting trees. If ever you need to borrow a cake mix, you always know you can go to Roy to borrow a cake mix or anything else. He works so hard with the disabled children in soccer in our VIP group. So he works diligently with those children. So he is such a good neighbor. And Claire and Ed, thank you so much. These are our Kindness Award winners from last year, and they certainly know what it's like to be a good neighbor. So congratulations, Roy. Next, I'd like to ask William Davis and David Suarez to come forward.
Well, I can tell you guys that I didn't plan on everyone being here. I was actually preparing myself for a smaller crowd, so I wasn't being so nervous, but thank you guys. The next award that we're going to be giving is to Homestead Community Kindness Award. This award is for an individual who basically is giving to the community for various things and, great service to provide to the community. Well, this award, it gives me great pleasure to present it to an individual who has dedicated many years of community kindness to this community in the city of Homestead. I'm going to mention a couple of items that this person has done. I've got a lot of good efforts. I'm nervous. Okay, Thanksgiving and Christmas time, this person prepares over 35 baskets with food and gifts for families who are less fortunate. This individual also serves on the board for St. John's during the holidays and helps prepare and serve food to the people of this community who are in need. This individual also volunteers their time to the American Cancer Society, Juniors Women's Club, Junior Orange Bowl Pageant Committee, Miss Homestead Committee, Seminole Theater, the Little Angels Foundation, and many more. This individual also is responsible for the starting of a Chipetta Scholarship Award, which was created in the memory of her brothers, Ronnie, William, and John, who all have passed away as a result of cystic fibrosis. This individual also has performed free physicals to many families in our community and individuals who cannot afford them because they do not have the health insurance to have them done. She also performs free physicals for our youth who are all involved in our community with the Little League football teams and South Dades wrestling team. If you lived in Homestead after Andrew, you may remember this person. She set up a treatment area right outside of T.R. Jones and treated many of our citizens, our residents, who were injured during this storm. I can go on and on and on about this person, and she's shaking her head right over there because she had no idea she was going to get this award today. So it was really a great pleasure for me to give this award to this person who I personally care a lot about. So the person who deserves this award, she could already start standing up now, is Dr. Linda Fagan.
Would you stand there, David, after you speak?
They got me here on the pretense that you guys were going to give me some money for turkeys. They did. They certainly did. I'm trying to think of what to say here. And the first thing I'll say is, yeah, I need 36 turkeys. We started out with 4 turkeys, and now we have 36 families that we give turkey dinners to, and that's pies, turkeys, all the fixings, and we collect toys, and we make the detail people who bring us samples feel really bad because they have to give so much to us. And we've been very fortunate that people have given us money to buy the turkeys. I mean, if we get more money, we buy more baskets for these people, and they're very appreciative. The one thing that I recall in my life is that I read somewhere that even if you have Limburger cheese on the top of your lip, it doesn't mean that your life has to be always stinky. And so the other thing I remember too is my mother and my grandmother having the good fortune to have lived long lives and were very blessed people and very good Christians who would say to me, if you do one thing in your lifetime that's purposeful, that somebody can remember, then go for it. But there's not a reason to stand around and have people pat you on the back for it, because you're giving it from your heart. and your spirit and your soul. So that's where I get this great compassion for this community and people that I love so much. I can't say enough about my friends. I can't say enough about my staff, my family, the support I've had in this community, and I'm just awed by it because I didn't expect it. I expected turkeys. So without further ado, I want to say thank you to all of you, and I appreciate it. And if you need Thanksgiving baskets, please call my office and we'll try to make it 40 rather than 36. And John, I'll be glad to put a box out for you at my office for canned goods. There's a box at my office also that's for toys for needy families too, so if any of you are interested, thank you.
Congratulations, Linda. Stay there, we're going to take pictures. She is so deserving, and I bet you that we're going to get those 36 turkeys, or possibly 40 turkeys, because there's a lot of people watching television. Call Country Medical Center, call me, email me, I'll come pick them up. So we do need turkeys for those baskets. Our last award is a very deserving award, and I'd like to ask Bob and Anita Jensen to come forward.
Lisa Ann Pindera is known for her kindness to animals, particularly to those who are sick, abused, and abandoned by others. By herself, she runs an animal rescue known as Furry Hearts, where she has saved many animals. Furry Hearts' motto is, help those who cannot help themselves. She's also a foster parent for other animal rescue organizations and has been given the title Hospice Mom for taking in animals during their last days. She also takes in animals at their sickest state and nurses them back to health.
You see, we have kindness awards not only for those who do for other people, but those who do for our animals. When she got Toby, one of her special ones, he came in a wheelchair, and when he adapted to his new home, he was running and chasing the other dogs. Nina came with a bad skin problem where she required sulfur baths that made her skin blister and bleed. But she recovered, and her coat became beautiful and shiny.
Lisa Ann has volunteered at the Humane Society, where she's taking care of animals as well. She has 2 blind dogs that would not be here except for Lisa Ann. Most recently, she helped raise money so that the Homestead Police Department dog Boomer could have a canine bulletproof vest. She also helps pet owners who cannot afford to pay their vet bills. Lisa Ann began her caring for distressed animals while living in Mississippi before moving to Homestead with her husband Greg.
Lisa Ann pays for all this veterinary care and feeding by baking and selling lavish cakes, pastries, and truffles. If you're in the market, now you know where to go. She also bakes for other community charitable events. Last May, she was on the cover of the Miami Herald Neighbors South Edition. We in Greater Homestead area are blessed with the kindness and caring shown by Lisa Ann. Lisa, if you come forward, please.
This is my Christmas. I want to thank everybody, Mayor, City Council, really thank you, and everyone that just voted. I was told I was getting carted off to jail tonight. I knew something was up, but one day I looked up and I said, look, God, please give me a purpose, and boy, I got handed one, and I am just so grateful. The best time in my life, or during my day and the end of my day, is when I go home and I have my babies and I'm sitting in bed with them and I know they're safe with me. And I try, one dog at a time, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, to get them to a safe place, to loving arms,
And I know that at least I've done one thing good, one at a time. It's a lot of work. Sometimes it's lonely. It can be very sad sometimes, but it can be so amazingly fulfilling. And when I know a baby, I call them babies, these are my babies, when they go to a good home, and I check every home, it's a gift, because that little creature survives and is happy and gets loved. And in my life, the most important thing, before water and bread, is being held and being loved. And with friendship and kindness, and we just all should be able to do that. And if we do, boy, what a great world. And we do. So thank you so much. This is an amazing honor. Thank you.
I have to tell you a quick little story. I didn't have my glasses on, and I called what I thought was Greg's cell number to tell him that we had to come up with a big lie to get Lisa here. And I left a message. Somebody answered a voice machine, and I left this message, and a lady called me from Fort Charlotte, and she goes, "Are you Judy Walden?" And I go, "Yes." And she goes, "You left this really great message about this person named Greg, and about how wonderful his wife is, and all the things that she does, and I'm calling you to tell you called the wrong phone." And so I immediately called Greg, and so we concocted this big story to get you here. But now you see, folks, now you see why we do what we do with the Kindness Awards. So I would like you all to join with me in giving them a big round. Thank you, and I would like to ask for us all to go back here so we can get some pictures. And I'm so glad we had a crowd here tonight for whatever reason. I'm glad you got to experience this and see firsthand these wonderful unsung heroes that we have right here in Homestead.
They're what make Homestead great, and that's why my husband and I have stayed here as long as we have.
Thank you. We now have a very special presentation, Teacher of the Year at Air Base Elementary, Patricia Faircloth and Councilwoman Sierra.
I must let you know also that Lisa is a phenomenal actress, and her truffles are to die for.
Yes.
So you need to get in touch with her. I have the wonderful and distinctive honor of being able to present this certificate of recognition to a valued board member of the Education Committee for the City of Homestead. The annual District Teacher of the Year selection process, jointly sponsored by the United Teachers of Dade, is part of a national program which brings deserving recognition to the teaching profession and serves to highlight the positive aspects of education. This evening, we have a room full of a lot of educators and people that realize how important education is, so it's wonderful that you're here tonight to see this. Now, Patricia Faircloth has won the Rookie of the Year Award in 2001 and now has been awarded the Teacher of the Year for Air Base Elementary in recognition of your leadership and commitment to academic excellence and student achievement. We wish you the very best on the regional nomination now. And this plaquette's very heavy, so I'm going to call her fiance to help me award her this award. Councilman McCormick. We're very proud of our Patricia.
Yes, we are. Congratulations, Patricia.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and each of you in your respective places. It is truly an honor to stand before you and accept this recognition. I just have to add, last school year, I was nominated for the ING Unsung Hero Award, and this award is given to one educator from each of the 50 states. And out of the state of Florida, there were 1,500 recipients. and I was the winner of the ING Unsung Hero Award from the state of Florida. Thank you. But I have to say, this Teacher of the Year nomination has taken on a whole new meaning for me because I've been honored from my own, the people who really know me and who work with me day in and day out. And I just like to say on the regional level, there are 90 teachers, and from those 90 teachers, 5 teachers are selected as finalists. And I was just advised on Friday that I was one of those 5 finalists. But I have to honestly say that it's not easy being me. And I would not be standing here before you had it not been from the unwavering support that I have received from a true friend and dear fiance and Councilman Melvin McCormick. I thank you for all that you do. And in closing, I like to say a career is something that you are paid for, but a calling is something that you have been made for. And my calling is definitely to teach, and I am so fortunate to call the city of Homestead my home. Thank you.
This is heavy. It's very heavy, that's why I had to call him. Oops, sorry. Without our teachers, we can't have great students. Without great coaches, we can't have great athletes. And we're lucky this evening to be able to present this certificate of recognition to Mr. Kendrick Sanders, South Dade Senior High wrestler, which earned national acclaim. Is Mr. Sanders here? This is the coach. This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. Thank you. Last year, South Dade's all-star wrestler, Kendrick, knew his starting match against 34-year winner Brandon High School was crucial for a tournament. Now as a senior, Sander has come a long way, winning both national and state wrestling titles. This summer, he won his second consecutive junior national 145-pound title at the ASICS Vaughn National Greco-Roman Finals that were held in Fargo, North Dakota. He's the best athlete I've ever coached. South Dade wrestler coach Victor told the Miami Herald, by the time he finishes high school, he could be the most decorated wrestler to come out of Dade County, and he's right here in Homestead. College coaches are already interested in him, and Sanders is setting his goals on the Olympics. He's also a go-to guy for the school's football team as a defensive captain. But his dream remains with wrestling. His goal is to make the Olympic level in wrestling for 2012, and we wish you great luck. Kendrick, an all-star member of South Dade Senior High wrestling team, earning national acclaim and winning both national and state wrestling titles, the city of Homestead salutes you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Sierra. I will now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move it.
It's been probably moved in second. Any comments or questions on this item? All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. Thank you very much. Moving on. I already said. We have 2 appointments from the Education Committee. We have Janet Huck and Jeffrey Thomas. I would now entertain a motion for those appointments.
I'll move it.
I'll second. It's been probably moved in second. Any comments or questions on those appointments? All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. Thank you. We also have a Miami-Dade Empowerment Zone Advisory Board appointment to Eileen Calvo. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions on this appointment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. And last on the appointments, the internal auditor appointment. So long, it's a long waited, and actually we have him with them. So would you please come forward? Come on up and introduce yourself to everybody.
Mayor Council, my name is Alfredo Rivero. I thank you for having me here tonight as a candidate for the internal auditor position. Just to give you a little background to the staff and to the elected officials, I've been in government for 10 years. I have a master's in public administration, master's in accounting, received my CPA in 2004, been active in Florida in good standings ever since I received my CPA. I look forward to coming here to the city of Homestead, where it's a beautiful, growing city. I look to be part of a team to help it and bring reliability, integrity, and help in the efficiency and the effectiveness of the organization. I'm just happy to be here, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity. It was an honor to apply and to be gotten to this level.
Alfredo, I believe that all of the council members have personally interviewed you, and I have just, in fact, let me go ahead and entertain a motion at this point for the hiring of Alfredo for our internal auditor. Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll move it.
Second. There's a motion and there's a second. I want also that the council and the public to know, and I think the council already knows, that this has been a long search, and while we have gone ahead and hired an internal auditing firm, and we've kept that firm on retainer, I never stopped searching for somebody to be an in-house auditor who could be here on a day-to-day basis and oversee the operations and kind of have a look-see into every single department in the city, which provides perfect transparency to our citizens, which is exactly what we want. Alfredo, I thank you so much, and not only do you have the double masters, and not only do you have the accounting and the CPA, but you also have governmental experience, as you are currently an assistant city manager. So I really want to thank you and just commend you, and I have been very impressed. And it took me only took me 17 interviews for 17 different candidates. So welcome, and at this point, since we have a motion to second, any of the council members, do you have any questions for Alfredo or for us? Oh, Mr. Manager, and then questions.
No, actually, I just want to, I know Alfredo for a while now, in his capacity as an assistant city manager in different cities. He's a great person. Welcome aboard on behalf of the city manager and all the staff.
Thank you very much.
Any questions for Alfredo? Mayor Bell. Ms. Lobos?
I don't have any questions. I'd just like to add, our interview was very frank and very fruitful, and I'm very comfortable voting yes for you today. The citizens of Homestead have requested this. It's in the charter, so I will be voting yes. I'm very impressed, and I look forward to your work and all the things that we've talked about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Questions? Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. It's unanimous. The ayes carry.
Thank you so much.
Now, I will tell you all right now, if I wasn't in a dress, I would do a cartwheel. It has been a long time coming. I'm delighted. It's just very exciting. We've done it, Marcy. I interviewed each and every candidate along with Marcy, and it's been a long haul and a lot of work. And, we want this transparency in government with this transparent gavel over here. So thank you for helping us acquire that. Thank you so much. Yes,
Since he's confirmed, he should move to this side now.
Sit with the staffers, right? Thank you so much. Public hearings, ordinances, land use items.
Please be advised that the following items on the agenda are quasi-judicial in nature. If you wish to comment on any of these items, please indicate the item number you'd like to address when the announcement regarding the quasi-judicial item is made. An opportunity for persons to speak on each item will be made after the applicant and staff have made their presentations on each item. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you do not wish to be either cross-examined or sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the council to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. The full agenda package on each item is hereby entered into the record. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak up for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. In accordance with Code Section 2-591, any lobbyist must register before addressing the council on any of the following items. At this time, council members must disclose any ex parte communications concerning any items on the agenda.
Yes, I've had a conversation with Sue Newman on the Planning and Zoning Board and Eric Geen on the Planning and Zoning Board regarding tab 12.
Thank you. Any further? At this time, the clerk will swear in any persons who wish to testify on any quasi-judicial item.
Would you please stand and raise your right hand? I state your name, hereby swear or affirm that the information you provide shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. You may be sitting.
Yes, tab 8 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing...
James, would everybody try their very hardest to keep the murmur down, because these are very serious issues. Appreciate it. Thank you. Go ahead, James.
Certainly, Mayor. Tab 8 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, providing for preliminary plat and site plan approval for Palms at Bella Vista, consisting of 92 twin homes on approximately 10.25 acres located on the southwest 336th Street between southwest 172nd Avenue and southwest 167th Avenue within the villages of Homestead Development of Regional Impact, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded. This is a public hearing. I now entertain staff report. Ms. Kamali?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and member of the council. This is a tentative plat and site plan approval for 92 units, townhomes in Sector 1 of the DOI. This project, since it's DOI, therefore is vested and is here for approval. The staff recommends it to move forward.
Thank you very much. And it also had unanimous from Planning and Zoning. Does the applicant wish to present its case?
Hi, my name is Omar Armenteros. Address is 1950 Northwest 94th Avenue, Miami, Florida. I'm here representing the owners of the property.
Thank you. Does council have any questions for the applicant or staff?
Mayor Bell, no, all the questions have been answered within Planning and Zoning. I know there was a lot of questions about the moratorium and this being exempt from that moratorium and the vested capacity that they already have, so no further questions.
Yeah, this has been vested. The Villages of Homestead DOI has been vested since basically the 1970s and are exempt from that. So thank you very much. Any other comments, any questions from council?
James. Excuse me, James, there was a question about a homeowners association in the minutes of the Planning and Zoning meeting, excuse me. Was all that resolved?
Yeah, normally what happens, Vice Mayor, is at the time of tentative plat, we start reviewing the draft declarations of those documents, and prior to final plat approval, or when those documents have to be submitted to our office for legal sufficiency.
Okay. Good.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the public? This is a public hearing. We'll now close the public hearing. Any further comment? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lopez?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to tab 9. Tab 9 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for the development of a 7,534 square foot restaurant building on approximately 2.05 acres of land located at Kingman Road, Southwest 152nd Avenue, and Campbell Drive, Southwest 312th Street, as an out parcel of the Homestead Pavilion Commercial Development, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
The item has been properly moved and seconded. This is a public hearing. This is for the Olive Garden, by the way, for everybody in the audience. I love that response, by the way. Thank you. We have the applicant present. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from council for the applicant?
Just welcome to the City of Homestead.
Yes.
This is easy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions from the public? This is a public hearing. I think we heard it. I think we heard our public comment.
question, Mayor. I have a question. When are you going to open?
I knew that would happen. We will open 6 months after we break ground, so it's when will we have the permit. As soon as we have the final permits, we'll be out there.
Okay. Would you state your one card?
Would you state your name? Linda Nunn, 1807 South Indian River Drive, Fort Pierce, Florida.
Thank you, Linda. Great name. Roll call. We'll not close the public hearing. All votes are clear.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Absolutely.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
Yes, the next item is tab 10. Tab 10 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting site plan approval for the development of a 5,860 square foot restaurant building on approximately 1.55 acres of land located at the northwest corner of Campbell Drive, southwest 312th Street, and Kingman Road, southwest 152nd Avenue, as an out parcel of the Homestead Pavilion commercial development, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
So moved. The item's been properly moved and seconded. This is a public hearing. Okay, control yourselves now. This is for the Longhorn Steakhouse.
You said they were going to be a tough crowd.
I want you here every meeting, by the way, okay? It's been properly motioned and seconded. This is a public hearing. Any comments or questions from the applicant?
I don't dare say anything.
We'll now close the public hearing. The public has spoken. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Yes, next item is tab 11. Tab 11 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting final plat approval for Ben Tom Keysgate, located at the southeast corner of Southeast 8th Street, North Canal Drive, and Southeast 18th Avenue, Farm Life School Road, as legally described in Exhibit A, consisting of approximately 2.99 acres and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. The item has been properly moved and seconded. We now open the public hearing. Is there a staff report on this item, Ms. Kamali?
Sure. This project has became before you in April of 2008 and got approved for a site plan for 26,672. Has a retail B2 zoning and has some retail and bank and a ball green.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions for staff?
I have a question, Mayor.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Someone up there. Were they able to have a turning lane off of Farm Life? I wasn't at that meeting and the last meeting that this was discussed, so if it has already been discussed, I apologize.
Yes, there was some compromise. They didn't have a complete turn lane, but they did have some modification to their turn lane.
So there is a way to get out of the mainstream of traffic to turn in and out of this complex?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments or questions?
Just one quick
Vice
question.
Mayor.
Is the applicant here? I was just wondering when they may be started, because I've gotten quite a few complaints about that storage area or whatever you want to call it over there not being to compliance, and that may save save myself and some city people a lot of headaches if we know when you're going to start, and I don't have to keep ringing their phones about complaints that I'm receiving.
Joe Corral, my address is 2980 McFarland Road, Suite 209, Coconut Grove, Florida. We are in for permit right now for the Walgreens. Anybody want to? Wow. Anyway, so we're in for permit, and we're hopefully looking to start construction sometime in January or February.
Okay, good.
So,
yeah.
Thank you.
And don't feel bad about the lack of excitement for the Walgreens. We have about 15 Walgreens, but we don't have one Longhorn or all of them.
People like to eat.
So, yeah.
People don't want to get sick. They want to eat. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any further comments or questions? This is a public hearing. If you have a question or comment, please go to the microphone.
They gotta quiet
We'll
down.
now close the public hearing.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Waldman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Yes, next item is tab 12. Tab 12 is a resolution of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving a special exception requested by Miramar East Investment LLC to permit an assisted living facility located on the northwest corner of Southwest 6th Street and Southwest 1st Avenue within the area designated as the Southwest Planned Urban Neighborhood of the city as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The item has been properly moved and seconded. This is a public hearing. Is there a staff report on this item?
Sure. This is a special exception for a residential building that consists of 6 different buildings. 5 of them have 9 units, and one which looks like a laundry and storage area. This is in the planned urban neighborhood, part of the downtown mixed use, and is governed by Southwest Neighborhood Plan. Since this is going from a residential to residential, therefore the staff recommends approval for this project.
Thank you. Councilwoman Lobos?
I have a question. Somewhere in the application it stated that this would be a gradual transition from residential to assisted living. What does that mean, gradual?
Gradual, because my name is Michelle Boucher and I reside at 8835 Northwest 168th Street, Miami, Florida. Gradual meaning that there's 5 units, one which is the laundry and storage, and they're not going to all be converted at the same time. So gradual, that it's going to be transitional from the apartments to the ALF.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that at one point, if this is approved, that it's going to be residential and assisted living while you're going through this transition period? Why wouldn't you just shut down the residential units and then open up as an assisted living facility?
If I'm correct, I think that even when the parts that are assisted living, they are considered residential as well. I don't think it's considered separate.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Just for the record, could you please state your relationship to the applicant?
I just represent them.
Are you their attorney?
No.
Okay, you're just here speaking on their behalf?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Waldman?
Yeah, I'm trying to find, I read it today, but I didn't highlight it. How many, I think I was kind of taken back a little bit by the number of residents that you plan to have there. Can you tell me, Sherry, what it is? Somewhere I read it. How many residents do you plan?
Once they're all converted, 200.
See, I'm having a really hard time grasping that.
The units now, it's 54 units, I think it is, and they all, it states in here, there is 1 4-bedroom, there's 6 3-bedrooms, and 2 2-bedrooms in each of the units. So,
in each of the units?
Mm-hmm.
And there's how many, what did we say, 5 units?
There's 5 buildings.
5 buildings, which we're considering units? 5 units?
No, there's 5 buildings, and within each of the 5 units, there's 1 4-bedroom, 6 3-bedroom, 2 2-bedroom. So total number of units, let me see.
It's 45.
Yeah, there's 45 units within all the buildings. So once all the buildings are converted into the ALF, then that's when there's going to be that many people in the building.
I still don't see how that's going to happen. Mayor Bell.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Lobos?
I'm sorry. I was still trying to get an answer because can you give me the square footage?
Yes.
I mean, are you planning on converting the kitchens and?
Yes.
So you're planning on converting the entire square footage of each unit?
Yes. The kitchens, there's not going to be kitchens in each of the units. Like in each of the apartments right now, there is kitchens. Once the conversion is done and becomes an ALF, it's going to be one central kitchen where all the adult elderly people are going to go eat at that one central kitchen. So more than likely, one of the units is not going to be used to house residents. It's going to be just a kitchen.
Okay, and so could you give me the square footage of each unit?
Sure.
Since they're all the same?
Okay, each four-bedroom unit has 1,290 square feet, each three-bedroom unit has 756 square feet, and each two-bedroom unit has 630 square feet.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Lobos?
Thank you, Mayor Bell. I wanted to address something else in the planning and zoning minutes. I know that this is existing already, so it's not like you're going to add any impact. All of these apartment complexes already have residents in them. As far as and James, stop me if I can't talk about this, but as far as the impact on the industrial, I know that we had a Mr. Sanchez from Blaylock Oil come forth and say that he didn't have a problem with this application so far. It didn't affect his use on the land that he has. So there really wasn't a specific answer towards his comment during planning and zoning. How does this affect, if this application were to move forward and approved tonight, how would it affect Blaylock Oil and its industry use?
I can't give you a definite answer because the situation with Blaylock Oil, currently right now as this application exists, I think your staff has properly analyzed it with respect to the Southwest Neighborhood Master Plan, and it fits within those sub-areas and is allowed pursuant to the Southwest Neighborhood Master Plan. I know that there has been some workshops, there's been some discussion with respect to some of those oil companies that are located in that Southwest neighborhood section, and whether or not there are issues with respect to their nonconformities, whether or not they can expand. To the extent that this would have a negative implication, I don't really know at this point without having done, without being able to get more in detail with respect to those proposed amendments that may or may not be forthcoming. I don't think your staff has completed the analysis as a result of that workshop that you've held. But what I can tell you is that your staff has analyzed it pursuant to the current code in place, the current master plan in place, and sees no procedural issue with respect to moving forward at this point.
Thank you.
Ms. Kamali?
Yes, I would like to add that on the Planning and Zoning Board, by mistake here it says 5-0, it should be 4-0.
Okay, thank you very much.
I do have one question, Mayor.
Councilwoman?
What experience does Miramar East investors have in running an adult-assisted facility?
Well, I'm going to be the administrator, and I've had my ALF administrator license since 2001. And I've administrated assisted living facilities in other cities in Miami before.
But as far as Miramar East, the parent company, is this their first assisted facility?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I want to tell you, after reading this and the memorandum and the PNC minutes and everything, I'm thrilled about this. And I think not only is it great for the seniors, it's very strictly regulated. It's also going to be a great benefit to this community, which it will be a great improvement to this community. And I'm thrilled about it, and so I absolutely support it. I support this item. Any other comments or questions from the council? This is a public hearing.
Mayor?
Councilman Lobos?
This is just a rezoning. When the site plan comes forth, we'll be able to discuss things like the fence that I know was discussed during planning and zoning and issues like that.
Well, this is a special exception. The zoning's already correct on the property.
Right.
To the extent that there would be a site plan coming in, you probably won't see a site plan because it's going to be an administrative site plan. The buildings are already there, so you're not building something from scratch. There might be some minor modifications to the site plan, which those are usually done administratively. So this is the point at which it's a special exception, and it's a special exception pursuant to your code. You have code criteria to review and go through, which your staff has properly analyzed for you in the staff report. But when you're reviewing this application, one of the things to remember is that you need to look at the surrounding neighborhood. You need to look to see if there are any issues specific to this request, because it's a special exception to your code that you may want to evaluate. One of the things that your staff has evaluated for you and has placed as a condition in the development order, the special exception, is that there would be 24-hour security on site for the protection of the workers and the residents for the assisted living facility, and there was a lot of discussion all the way through the DRC and the Planning and Zoning Board on that particular issue for you.
Well, Mayor Bell, I'm not only concerned with security and the fence, which was already discussed. I'm just concerned with the overall product. I mean, that area, the existing buildings as they are. I'm just wanting for the assisted living facility to be of good quality. So I would expect some from the staff to look into some good remodeling. I mean, I don't know to what extent they have to submit details to you, but to really be converted from residential living like it is to a high-quality assisted living facility, not simply just converting rooms into boxes where seniors can go in and live. And that's the thing that I'm concerned with, also the stairs and things like that. We already have assisted living facilities here that are nice, and so I just want this to be as nice, if not nicer.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman Lobos. And I know our staff is, yes. You have a comment, Ms. Kamali?
Yes, we make sure we follow all the code requirement for all the modification that is going to come to the building as a permit request to us.
Thank you. Councilman Nelson?
I believe they have to go through a state certification. Are you going to be able to do that one unit at a time?
Yes, we've already discussed this with ACA, and they have said that yes, that we can do this one unit at a time. The only conflict in that, if there would be any, is if there would be any other ALF 1,000 feet from this current one, and there is not. So none of the other units, they're all being converted, even though they're not going to be converted at the same time. All the units are within the 1,000 feet from the other units, so if we do one and then we do the next, it's still going to be okay for them.
Now, with concern to the oil companies to the north of that, what kind of safety precautions do you have to take? Because I know there's fuel trucks, I think I counted 6 or 8 of them there tonight. That seems kind of dangerous to me to have, is this going to be elderly?
Yeah, they're going to be elderly, and I'm not sure which one was the last meeting that we had, but they brought that up, and I think that they addressed that they have their own emergency management plans in place, and we will have to complete an emergency management plan that will be accepted before we even get licensed by the fire department, and they would have to agree that those fire trucks are not hazard to our elderly residents.
Right, because I think it's probably within 1,000 feet or so of one of the units.
We went out there after the last meeting, and I saw exactly what it was, because I really wasn't sure what that establishment was. And after a discussion, we know that we have to submit this emergency management plan, and I guess it would be up to the fire department to say whether it's safe for them to be there or not. I don't know to what extent they work there and what they do.
Excuse me. My name is Luis Llanes. I reside at 972. I'm the owner.
Would you please speak into the microphone?
I'm one of the owners. I reside at 970 Hunting Lodge, Miami Springs, Florida. One of the meeting before, we addressed this, and it was the actual residence building. It's going to be a residence building. It's going to have the same codes, fire department codes. We're not going to be changing anything from residential to any special facility. We're just living as a residential, and we're going to comply with everything that the city needs us to comply, plus the state. So it's not going to be something that we're going to just pull out of our hands and build it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from council?
Well, Mayor Bell, I mean, we know you have to, in order to operate as an assisted living facility, I know you have to get permits, but meeting the minimum does not mean anything, translate into anything that I was addressing.
We're not meeting the actual minimum. We're going to go above and beyond what we have to do to comply with everything the city and the state will require. From then on, whatever we can add to it to improve the facility or improve the actual neighborhood, for us to be in a good, safe place, we will do it. It's nothing that we're going to hold back to make money. This is something we want to make money, but we want to build something to last.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you. And Ms. Kamali, we know that you're going to hold them to the highest level of standards in Homestead. We know that, and so we'll be talking about that.
I will do my best, ma'am.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions from the council? We'll now close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, moving on to tab 13. Tab 13 is a final order of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a certificate of use to allow the operation of a restaurant with on-premises sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages located at Kingman Road and Campbell Drive as an out parcel of the Homestead Pavilion Commercial Development as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Again, this is for the Olive Garden, for certificate of use for the Olive Garden, and the next one is for the Longhorn again, for certificate of use. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any comments or questions from council for staff or for the applicant? This is a public hearing. Public hearing is open. We'll now close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Yes, moving on to tab 14. Tab 14 is a final order of the City of Homestead, Florida, granting a certificate of use to allow the operation of a restaurant with on-premises sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages located at the northwest corner of Campbell Drive and Kingman Road as an out parcel of the Homestead Pavilion Commercial Development as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
So moved, Mayor.
Second. The item has been properly moved and seconded. Certificate of use for Longhorn Steakhouse. This is a public hearing. Any comments or questions from the public? Any comments or questions from council for the applicant or for staff? We will now close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman? Yes. Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
This now concludes the public hearings, ordinances. Next, legislative matters.
Yes, moving on to tab 15. Tab 15 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City of Homestead, Florida, considering the request of Roberta Burrows and Donna Crouch for a small-scale amendment to the comprehensive plan by changing the land use designation of an approximately .33-acre site for medium-density residential use MRU to light commercial use LCU, located at 25 Northeast 12th Street, as legally described in Exhibit A and providing for an effective date.
So moved. The item has been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from the applicant?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just to identify myself, Gail Springer with GSD Group at 18132 Southwest 89th Court in Miami, Palmetto Bay, actually. I'm here on behalf of the applicants, and if you have any questions or we can answer anything for you, please let me know.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council for Ms. Springer? Ms. Wallman.
Sorry, I meant to address you as me. I just want to say welcome to Homestead. I know you already live here in Homestead, but this is, for those that you don't know, this is, the home is historic. And isn't it the Horn House? And I just think it's great. This is exactly what we've been begging for downtown, is to have establishments such as this. And I know that they're excellent chefs, and they're going to provide an excellent service for any of our out-of-town guests. So congratulations.
Any further comments or questions? Close the public hearing. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. By the way, that's a bed and breakfast conversion, so it's going to be really delightful. So thank you very much.
Mayor, we'll be back very shortly for our rezoning request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You never know. One day my house might be a B&B too, right? You never know.
You know who to call, right?
Thank you, Ms. Springer. Thank you and congratulations. Next item.
Yes, tab 16 has been deferred. Moving on to tab 17. Tab 17 is the second reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, amending the city's fiscal year budget beginning October 1, 2007 and ending September 30th, 2008 by increasing both the revenue and expenditure by $507,761, providing for a repealer, severability, and effective date.
I'll move approval.
I'll move it.
Second. The item has been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? This is a second reading. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman McCormick?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sierra?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Burgess?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lobos?
Yes.
Mayor Bell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item.
Yes, moving on to tab 18. Tab 18 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, accepting the Homestead Air Reserve Base Air Installation Compatible Use Zone ACU study and providing for an effective date.
Excuse me, can I please have quiet in the auditorium? Thank you. Shh. So moved. The item has been properly moved and seconded. It's a public hearing. We'll now open the public. Any comments or questions from public?
Good evening, Mayor Bell, Councilor Lila Batiste with offices at 701 Brickell Avenue. I'm here on behalf of A&H Commerce Park, the owner of approximately 100 acres in the Park of Commerce. We understand that the resolution agrees to accept the AQ studies as guidelines for future planning purposes and for possible or future cities to the changes to the city's development regulations. And actually, we do appreciate the fact that the resolution does acknowledge that the city has sold the property subject to certain development rights, and that the guidelines that are currently in place for developing the Park of Commerce are less restrictive than what's being proposed by the recommendations. However, and I don't want to understate that the resolution on its face is problematic. As a private property owner, because the resolution acknowledges the inconsistencies between the current guidelines and development regulations and the recommendations that are being proposed. So you have these underlying development rights, but on the face of this resolution it says, although there are these development rights out there, these recommendations that we are proposing and the recommendations that we are accepting are inconsistent with those underlying development regulations. They're incompatible and they're more restrictive. So from someone looking at the Park of Commerce as a potential tenant or someone looking to finance property within the Park of Commerce, they only see what's on the face of this document. And right now it says that there are contradictions between the instruments that currently govern the property and these recommendations that could, in fact, govern the property in the future. So we don't have a problem, or A&H does not have a problem with the city accepting the recommendations, but I think the way the resolution is written right now, it creates ambiguity, it creates confusion, it creates inconsistencies between the recommendations that are being proposed or being accepted and the regulations that currently govern the property. And I'm just going to read, in the text of the resolution itself, it says certain recommendations may potentially affect existing property rights. If you're a lender or someone looking to develop in the park, that's problematic. It says that the recommendations could have implications on certain vested development rights. Again, that's problematic. And it does all of this without acknowledging, I don't believe it's the city's intent to adversely impact the Park of Commerce. But it puts all of these inconsistencies and problems out there without going one step further and saying, but it's not the intention. By accepting these recommendations, it's not the intention of the city or the Air Force Base to negatively impact the development rights that currently exist for the property. And so what we've asked through the city manager, we've discussed it with the city manager and the city attorney, and I've actually reached out to the Air Force Base this afternoon, is a provision that says, notwithstanding the inconsistencies between the recommendations and the current regulations that govern the property and the vested rights on the property, that it is not the intention or the will of the city to in any way adversely impact the existing development rights for the Park of Commerce. We would even, have no objection to another provision that says property within the Park of Commerce would be subject to review by the Air Force Base. As you know, A&H has no problem with working with the Air Force Base We have, again, no problem with the adoption of the acceptance of the recommendations. It's just that the way the resolution is drafted now, someone doing due diligence on the property, someone going through the city records, does not see the intent of these whereas clauses. They only see that the whereas clauses states, the clauses state contradictions and problems. I mean, really, I think they come as problems when you look at the inconsistencies between the current regulations and what's being recommended under the J. Luce and ACU study. So that's our concern. As someone that has to write letters about what's actually permitted in the Park of Commerce, again, the contradiction is problematic, and it creates more ambiguity, which makes it very difficult because people only see what's in the four corners of the document. They don't understand the intent of why these whereas clauses exist or what the city is trying to accomplish by putting them in the document. I know, and the people that deal with the city knows, but people outside don't.
Right, you see that this wording was put, this language was put into the document to actually protect A&H because it was bought under a prior study. So yes, we totally understand that, and we've had great conversations with the base about that. And so I think we all understand that. So you're saying that the language that we put in as protection actually could end up harming you?
Yes, it would almost be better if the document was very, deleted those inconsistencies between the recommendations and the development rights, because it raises a red flag more than anything without a provision that goes a step further that says this is not the intent to interfere with the existing development rights.
I understand.
Excuse me one second. Bill Albernoz, how are you? 901 Pond Suite 603. I'm a principal in A&H, and I'm also an attorney, and reading this as an attorney, I clearly see how this can become a real sticking point for any development or any future development that we may do on the property. Additionally, it indicates to me, or it seems to say, as if the AQs were binding on the property and the city. And so that's a very important distinction to us. It's a recommendation that they make that, the council considers and the mayor considers, but it's non-binding. So we don't want to make that inconsistency. We want to make that really clear.
Thank you. Councilman Lobos?
I just have one question, Ms. Batiste. You stated that anyone doing due diligence. Now, the resolution simply reflects what's in the JCUS and what we're getting ready to approve here if it passes. I mean, it already states that it's more restrictive. Someone doing due diligence would read that guideline and would see that it's more restrictive. I mean, I don't see how the resolution and the wording in the resolution changes anything. If anyone were to bypass the resolution or even read the resolution and then read the document itself, would realize that these are more restrictive guidelines. So how is changing the language in a resolution going to change the contents of the agreement?
Because right now, when we talk about what's permitted as in terms of development and uses within the Park of Commerce, we refer to the Villages of Homestead DRI, and we refer primarily to the Rockefeller Master Plan, which for the last 10 years has been a document that's supposed to govern the uses and development within the Park of Commerce. So we say these are the documents that control, yet now we have this other set of recommendations that could, if implemented by the city, be more restrictive than the Rockefeller plan and the underlying regulations that were in effect when people purchased the property, A&H purchased the property. So the existing guidelines and regulations are not consistent with the proposed recommendations, and that's where the contradiction can be an issue, because if I'm telling someone, well, you can develop subject to the Rockefeller plan, except that the city at some point in the future could adopt these recommendations that are more restrictive, that creates ambiguity from the point of view of a property or a prospective tenant or investor or a person looking to finance the property. There's too many instruments now that are inconsistent with regard to the development of the property.
And to further answer your question, excuse me, I mean, there are two separate documents. They each stand on their own. One is an advisory opinion, and the other one dictates what the development rights are, and one has nothing to do with the other. So I think my worry is if we mix them together, it's just going to confuse people.
It would be easy for me to say that, well, the intent of the city was not to divest the owners or potential tenants of their property rights, except that the resolution doesn't say that. The resolution only says that it could potentially affect people's property rights. It is inconsistent with the Park of Commerce plan, and that it's more restrictive. So it's hard to say, well, the Rockefeller plan controls when you have this resolution that says all these other recommendations are more restrictive than the Rockefeller plan.
Are you finished, Ms. Wallace? Mr. Manager.
Mayor, council members, I just want to mention, Leila in the beginning said this is really just accepting the ACU study 2007. Our discussion with the airbase, we have a discussion about this study and future land use regulations in the future that the city will consider, whether it will be a military overlay or something of that nature where it could be really very specific and more restrictive. This one is just to accept, and the airbase and us use words such as grandfather in the property in the Park of Commerce, the property that the city sold, because this actually was one of the items that took the longest discussion between us and the airbase. And the airbase understands that the city sold this property with the understanding these people have these development rights under the Rockefeller Group agreement or master plan and the DRI. And I don't know, you said you had a discussion with the airbase. When we wrote the resolution, and Leila, after I had a discussion with you, I added a few words there, but I don't really have any problem adding, tightening the language a little bit. I don't know how Carl McCauley feels, and
Mr. Carl McCauley?
Good evening, Council. We do appreciate the chance to comment on this, and we would like to say a few issues with this document. I've read it, and the experience we've had over the last couple of years concerning the JLUS and the ACUS studies bring the forefront of what we're trying to do here in the sense of public safety. The Air Force Base has a long history here in the community, and we want to look at the issues of public safety and flying safe operations in what we call the flight zone, or the places where the planes fly. And the issues that have been brought up about this document, we're very comfortable with that. We think it's a great compromise in the sense of between the city, the land use owners, and what we see as a future use for what we consider the corridor for our aircraft to fly. Now remember, we're flying fighter aircraft, we fly heavy aircraft, we fly things that we look at as having a low density, low impact into those areas for public safety. So the agreements we've had, or the talks we've had with A&H have been such that we looked at light industrial, we looked at the future uses on that, and I think that the document itself takes into consideration the .40, the Rockefeller agreements, and the issues that we recommend through hard study in the Department of Defense. We're not just talking Air Force flying, we're talking DOD-wide aircraft, including civilian aircraft that use our air bases. So we're very familiar with what the danger that could happen in those particular flight zones, and this includes the Park of Commerce. I think the land use of light industrial that we've talked about with A&H and the other requirements, we just had an agreement with a 40-acre plat that was approved to do that. We've worked with the city and A&H to do that. We have to tell the public, and we have a requirement to do that, what is safe in those fly zones, so we protect the public. And that's our number one concern as we go through this process. And I think we've done that in various ways. We've had public briefings here in front of the council for the JLUS. We've done it with the ACUS and brought that information forward in the public eye, provided information to the public. There's been issues in the papers about our JLUS and ACUS requirements. So I think this is a good document that's a compromise, and the way it's written, Again, the base is very much pleased with what we see. I think it's a good compromise in what we're trying to do. But, we've read it, and there is no harm to the Department of Commerce as it exists for the Rockefeller requirement. And those usage, it does have some restrictions of what can go in there for their own good and for the public safety. And that's what's so important. We just received the word about this document. We had quickly looked at it. We had communications with the A&H representatives, and it's been in the public eye for quite a while. So we feel that it's adequate for what we're trying to do as a partnership and those kind of things. The point is that the 2007 document that we have, or the ACUs, provides that information to anyone who has an interest or need to understand that information, or what is the requirement for those safe zones. Again, you do not want to build things in that area that have a lot of people in a condensed place, as we've talked before, that could be a danger. And we're talking about the national interest here, what Homestead brings to the local community and to the nation where we're located. So it's very much an asset for the nation that we're looking at. And we're looking at the long-term health of the area and the base, and the BRAC issues that come up later on when that process comes around every 5 to 6 years. So we can work with A&H, and we have. We've looked at the things that they want to place so far. They seem reasonable, light industrial, low-impact requirements, and we believe that the document should be passed as is. We're very adamant about that. So, again, that's the recommendation from the base, the Air Force, and as a citizen of Homestead, I think it's a good document, and if there's any comments, I'll be right behind.
Thank you, Colonel McCauley. Appreciate it. Can I just make one point of clarification? We don't have any issue with the recommendation or the J-Loof study, Colonel McCauley. That is not our concern. We're only really concerned with the way the resolution, the text in the resolution is set up. It acknowledges all of these inconsistencies between the governing instruments without a provision that says it's not the intent to adversely impact existing development rights and vested rights. I mean, that's our only concern. We're not asking for any changes to the recommendation. We're just asking that the intent of the recommendation or the intent of this resolution be more clearly stated in the text of the resolution. And even, again, we would be willing to put in a provision that says that any development proposals within the Park of Commerce would be subject to recommendation of the Air Force Base, taking into account the existing development rights as well as the policies and concerns of the J-Loofs. We don't have an issue with that. I just don't think that the intent of this document is helpful to the Park of Commerce the way that it's set up right now. And I don't know how else to say it.
Thank you. No, I absolutely understand what you're saying, and I absolutely, I think it's a good document, but I understand what you're saying. I think that we must protect the interests of the citizens, the base, as well as the Park of Commerce. And I know that Colonel McCauley understands that we have been working to protect the interests as well, the development interests in the Park of Commerce, as well as the interest of the Air Force Base and the citizens of Homestead. So would you two like to get together again and discuss this? Do you feel comfortable? So what is the exact wording that you're asking for, Lila? Be very specific with us.
I apologize because I sent it to the city attorney. I don't have the exact language in front of me other than to say a provision that includes that the intent of the recommendations is not to adversely impact the existing development rights within the Park of Commerce, and then the additional provision that it would be subject to, any development would be subject to review by the Air Force Base in balancing the property rights with the policy considerations of the J-Loof study.
Thank you. James?
Yes, Mayor. I do have an email from Lila that is very similar to the language she just spoke of. If it's the wish of the council, what we could do is we could table this item I could get together with your staff, with your city manager, and come back to you with similar language that Lila's proposed that I think would meet the needs and serve both the base, the city, and the property owners in the Park of Commerce.
I think that's a good idea because I want the Air Force Base to be comfortable as well. So I want an agreement that would make both parties perfectly at ease with this agreement. So that would be my wish too, that both would be comfortable, but that specifically that the Air Force Base would be very comfortable with this.
Well, and then if I might just add, you might not get 100% from both the base and from the property owners, but to the extent that we can give it one more shot and see what we can come up with, I don't see any problem with that. But I know that this item is being requested to move forward by you all and by the base, so to that extent, we'll be happy to take a look at it, try and rework that language. But I just want you all to know, at the end of the day, there might not be agreement between both the base and the property owners.
I'm going to count that there will be.
Mayor Bell, may I have...
Councilwoman Lobos and then Councilwoman Waldman.
I have two questions. One, do we have another council meeting scheduled for the beginning of December? That's my first question.
December 8th.
December 8th. I know this item was on our last council agenda, right? And it was taken off of the agenda and deferred to this meeting. And just, Ms. Batiste, I want to ask, did you have a chance to look at this resolution when it was posted on our previous agenda? And since then, I mean, I'm not comfortable with making these kind of decisions. I've had time to study this. I've had time to do my homework on this. And so now to say that, you know, we're going to defer it now again to December 8th, is that, I mean, determining that you guys are going to, I mean, I don't know, I'd like to hear from Colonel McCulley on what it is that we're proposing to do.
Once again, I think we've gone down this road. I think this is something as a resolution for many years to get to this point. I think it takes into account the Park of Commerce and the requirements on both sides. I really, really do. This is not in law. It is considered, or some of the words in this document, other things that bring that stuff to the table. Of course, we are very interested in what goes in there because of, again, the public safety and the issues that are going to be looked at in the Park of Commerce. But we're also talking about the surrounding area and what happens. We make recommendations to both city leaders and the public of what is safe in those areas for flight operations and the long-term issues that we have in the corridor for what we have as an Air Force base. So I think this document, once again, is very much ready to go. The Air Force feels that this has been a great work of compromise on many parts and a long history to get this done. And we've had a public forum more than once in the sense of trying to get this adopted. And again, give and take has been given. And I think the document does a great job to take the statistics and the information and bring it to the forefront for the public to use, both public and private. And again, adopting this would be a great step forward for the base, the local community definitely, of letting them know what is safe to put into those areas. And so again, I'm requesting, I guess, to come to the end of this part of the road, move forward and look at the rest of it needs to do and work in partnership with A&H.
Well, that's what I wanted to know. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. And you know what, I'm actually comfortable with moving forward with this document as well. I was only actually agreeing with Mr. White on tabling it. Both the base and the developer were not comfortable, but if you're comfortable with it, and we have gone down this road over and over again, and I have to tell you, when I read it, I understand that you're an attorney, and both of you are attorneys, and you look at every area. But when I read it, I do see protections built in. I do see your protections built in for A&H, and we understand that this is a guideline. I mean, this is a guideline, and I know that you're going to be working with the base. I don't think it's going to be the fire alarm that you think it's going to be. I really don't, but I understand. But I think I would have to agree with Ms. Lobos too that we've been back and forth with this document, and I agree that with Colonel McCulley that it's time to move forward. Colonel McCulley, I'm sorry. Yes.
Managers.
Can I have Ms. Waldman speak first, Mr. Manager, and then you can speak?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. Do you want to go first? I I just don't get it here, because I would think you'd be very happy with what's in this. I know I read it, and I know the base would probably like to see fewer lower numbers than what's in here. And I think you're kind of really pushing...
It's not the document. It's not the jail study.
I understand, but still, in all, I think everything has to come before the city, and everything has to pass before the city. Everything is going to be passed through the air base, and I'm sure that the BRAC probably would like to see lower numbers here. So I'm ready to move forward, and I don't know if we have a motion on the floor, Mayor, but if we don't, I will be happy to make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor.
Okay, but then I call the question. I think we should move forward.
I'd like to hear from the manager.
Mayor, council members, everybody listening, I just want to explain why we put it on the agenda last time and we took it out. In the State of the City address, I had the opportunity to speak to Colonel McCauley, and he asked me about the status of this resolution, because, we agreed to certain steps we're going to take. And I asked Cherie what was the status of this, and she spoke to James, and they put it on the agenda. And I'll be very frank with you, it was put in a hurry. I spoke to Colonel McCauley and I said, we're going to be deferring it, or actually moving it to the next council meeting. And I explained to him why, because we want all the stakeholders to participate in the discussion, and he was extremely receptive to the idea, because we're not doing something behind closed doors, between us and the air base. So everything is, we want everybody to participate. And like Councilman Wadman said, and the mayor also mentioned it, this, we acknowledge, and we said the intent is really to protect the bark commerce. The bark commerce is, the air base acknowledges, and we grandfathering the uses there. But of course, to discourage the discussion with the air base. And again, this is an advisory, and it comes back to council for approval in the future. If you ask me, I would say I don't have problem wordsmithing, but if the air base is not comfortable with it, you're not comfortable with it, the intent is there, and I think my comments are a part of the record today. Right. The air base comments are a part of the record, and I think everybody is on board that,
The problem with that, if I may say respectfully, is that if I'm someone from out of town, or I'm a lender or whatever, I'm not going to look at this public record tonight and say, oh, well, it wasn't the intent for them to interfere with the vested rights on this property. I can only look at the four corners of this resolution, and what it says here is that there's the contradiction between the recommendations that are proposed and the vested development rights and the instruments that currently govern the property. If there's a way, Colonel McCulloch, for you to, I don't know if there's a way to accept the JLU study with the opportunity to clarify the intent in the resolution. Again, we don't have an issue with the JLU study or the recommendations. We only have a concern, really, with the whereas clauses in the resolution.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I think first of all, I think that when you have a base like this, there's going to be some natural tension between the development around the base and the base. It's just a fact of life. And with due respect to the attorneys for the developer, the key to this the whereas clauses are the forest. The very important part of this resolution is after the whereas clause, where it says that which is section 2. All the whereas clauses are interesting, historical, and helpful in trying to understand what we're doing. But what this says is that the study will be considered in the development of city regulations to address land use compatibility and encroachment, and even if we were to eliminate all of the whereas clauses with respect, even if we were to eliminate all of them, if you're writing an opinion letter dealing with this property, you still have to cite to this, and you'd have to still put anybody on notice of the fact that this study is going to be considered. So even if we totally eliminated all the recommendations which tried to, the whereas clause, which try to sort of give the history of this, the same tension exists because this study will be considered. And I think that the way that it's set forth, does protect the city in some ways. I think it protects the base and sort of gives people some history about this. But I think that if you're trying to eliminate or come up with a solution which eliminates all tension between the development and the Air Force Base, I don't really know that it's possible, even with the best of intentions on all parts.
Richard, is there a way to just add a provision that says it's not the intent to adversely impact the existing development rights for the property? That's really all that we want, is the intent, that the intent be part of this document so that the history is given its proper context.
I mean, I think that we've sort of been through this. I think the more language, if we add that language, then the Air Force is going to want to add language. I mean, it's possible to draft everything, and I see that he's shaking his head. I mean, that's the problem. And I think just I think in writing your opinion letter on this, because I know you've written a lot and we've written our share, you're going to have to refer to this language, and I mean, it is going to be something that when somebody comes in, they're going to have to understand that this AQ study is going to be considered in land use recommendations and land use compatibility with surrounding. I mean, it's a factor. You can't. It's not going to not be there. Right. So in any letter that you write, you're going to have to refer to it, and that's the substance of it, is that it will be considered, and you just can't get around it because we're certainly not going to change the section where we adopt the study.
No, I'm not asking you to.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Lobos, and then we're going to call a question.
I just have one more comment. Ms. Batiste, I don't agree with you. I'm thinking as you're giving the example of an application that we already voted on, there's a DRI, there was a moratorium passed by this council. And then within that DRI, there was already property that had vested rights. So even though there was a moratorium already, they went ahead and applied and were approved under those vested rights that were previous. And so I kind of think that this is the same thing. I think the city recognizes that this property was purchased under a different study. This is simply something that the city is going to adopt, but you're not going to lose anything. I don't see any conflict in what the city is already acknowledging the Park of Commerce has vested rights to, and what we're looking towards the future with the airbase.
But if you read the resolution carefully, it doesn't just say that it's vested rights.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just one more comment, may I, Mayor?
That very brief.
Yes.
Very brief.
The bottom line is the AQs is not binding and cannot abridge our developmental rights. So we will cooperate with the Air Force Base like we have, but we just want to keep that point very clear.
We understand that. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. We're now closing the hearing on this. Actually, it's a resolution. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And it carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda.
Yes, moving on to tab 19. Tab 19 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, approving the participating party agreement between the City of Homestead and Prime Hotel Group at Homestead LLC, authorizing the execution of the agreement, authorizing the implementation of the agreement, and providing for an effective date.
I'll move. I'll second. The item has been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? All in favor say aye.
Mayor Bell?
Yeah, I think the staff would like to make
sorry.
Yeah,
Staff report. I'm sorry.
Hi, Mayor and Council, good evening.
Especially since we have...
Yes. If you'll remember back in July of this year, we applied for a community development block grant, economic development grant, to assist the Hampton Inn Hotel with the road infrastructure into the hotel site. Nancy Phillips has been instrumental in helping us draft that application and get all the necessary documents. She does want to comment on one thing that we think that you all need to be aware of before approving this participating party agreement, so I'll let Nancy.
Ms. Phillips.
Nancy Phillips and Associates. I'd just like to point out to you that this grant is based on job creation. The city was awarded this grant based on Prime Hotel Group creating 22 jobs and also leveraging $1.5 million of their construction costs for points in the application. And with any grant, there's always a risk. And it's my duty to point out to you that if they fail to create the jobs, that we have written a repayment clause into the participating party agreement. However, if they fail to expend the $1.5 million, and the city has already expended their money, the city could be in a repayment position because they would be in default of their agreement, and they have not met all of the stipulations of the grant. I do not anticipate that happening. This is over a $12 million project. This is the third economic development grant that the city has had. We've not experienced any problems in the past, but it is my duty to point this out to you in case you have any questions about that.
Thank you very much, Nancy, and we're really glad that you're with us, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on this item?
Just one quick question, Mayor.
Councilwoman Waldman.
In today's economic times, you always have to ask these questions because you never know. The 22 jobs, are we going to be monitoring this? Will we know if someone gets laid off or if someone loses their job for whatever reason that they're going to be replaced, and how long a period of time do they have to do that? And is there any way to know that they are going to spend X amount of dollars so that we don't have to repay the grant?
Is part of their requirements for the grant.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. As part of their requirements for the grant, they have to submit quarterly progress reports to the city. That will include actual documentation of their expenditures, as well as there is a certain form that has to be filled out as they go to interview their other potential staff people. It's called the Household Income Survey form. They will be working with the local workforce office to help recruit the employees that they're going to have. It is tough economic times. Again, if they fail to create the jobs, we have written in a repayment clause into the agreement. It is the amount of leverage that there's no way for us to write any sort of a repayment into that because this is money, their own money that they're putting into the project.
But there will be some sort of like you say, a quarterly report, some way to
yes,
oversee.
And we monitor that, and the state will be monitoring the city of Homestead for its progress.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just want to make sure that the council understands the risk of this project.
Sure.
And the staff we've had detailed discussions with the staff, and they feel like this risk is minimal because the project's already gotten off the ground, but I want to make sure that you understand the risk. It is possible that we could take the grant money, put in these improvements which are very specific to this project. They could stop the project 3/4 through or... Okay. At that point, they will not fulfill their obligation to create the jobs. And we may have to give back the grant money, having, the money that we've already spent the money, but we may have to give it back. So the city has a potential liability here for that money. So I wanted to make sure you understood that.
We did. Okay. Nancy stated it very well, Mr. Weiss. Thank you. Thank you. I think that it's a Hampton Inns and Suites. I think the risk is very, very minimal, especially with 22 jobs. It's under construction. I'm very comfortable with this project. I think it's a gift horse. I don't want to look in the mouth, quite frankly. Thank you. Any comments or questions from council?
Mayor Bell, one question.
Councilwoman Lobos.
As Councilwoman Waldman was discussing the full-time, the jobs that are going to be part of the grant, on item 10 where it discusses that, one of the questions that I have is it doesn't say where these employees are going to come from. Do they have to come from the Homestead area, or can those employees be from anywhere, as long as they're low to moderate income?
We encourage the developer to employ people from the Homestead area, but there is nothing to prevent him from taking somebody from Kendall or in that area. But we have already discussed that with him and hope that he listened to us and that he will definitely give the residents of the city of Homestead top priority in his job selection.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I trust all hearts are clear on this item. All in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed? And the ayes carry. Thank you.
Moving on to tab 20. Tab 20 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Homestead, Florida, authorizing the submittal of the Neighborhood Stabilization Program substantial amendment to the 2009 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for approval, providing for execution, providing for implementation, and providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. The item's been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council on this item? Thank you very much. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes carry. Thank you. Final item.
Yes. Tab 21 is an RFP number 200901, Grant Administration and Project Delivery Services for 2008-2009 CDBG Entitlement Program and Neighborhood Stabilization Program.
Thank you very much. Been properly moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from council? Thank you very much. All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. Thank you. I'm trying to hurry it up a little. James.
You said final, I think we have one more, Mayor.
Oh, we added one, that's right.
Yes.
Next item.
The last item is tab 22. It's a resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Homestead, Florida, supporting the Substance Abuse Resource Guide, the SARG partnership, a coalition partnership campaign for the prevention of underage drinking in the state of Florida, providing for an effective date.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Thank you. This is something that I've actually asked to be added on, and I'm going to be partnering with other cities, and we're actually going to be creating an ordinance for the city of Homestead to prevent underage drinking, to where hopefully we can get an appropriate ordinance working with the attorneys to actually start monitoring our convenience stores and many different areas where children are apt to get alcohol at underage. So it's something that I thought was very important. I'm going to be doing a press conference in early December about this with another mayor from Miami. So we are really going to work hard on this. We realize we have a problem in the city of Homestead, and we're going to tackle it head on, and we're going to win this. We're going to win this. So thank you very much for support, council, on this item. Any comments or questions on this item? It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes carry. Thank you so much. We now have public comment. I know that we have a lot of people who want to speak on this item, so we're going to have the clock. Everyone who wants to speak has 3 minutes to speak. I think if the comments are all the same, I don't know, have you pulled together to see who's going to speak and things like that? Because I've gotten a lot of emails, so we all know you're coming.
Mayor.
Yes.
Mayor, yes. Before we begin with public comment, if I might.
Yes.
And I'm not exactly sure. I've gotten some emails from your staff, has gotten emails, and I just want to be very clear to everyone in the audience and to you all with respect to the comments this evening. I'm not sure where these comments are going, but to the extent that the comments are going to be made or discuss the specific application that's pending in your planning department right now on the Oasis Charter School or the application for concurrency, you will not be able to hear public comment or get into specifics with respect to those applications. Those are both quasi-judicial matters that will be coming before you in the future, or could potentially be coming before you in the future.
So they can speak generally. They can speak generally on their concerns per school, their concerns, because that's been the comments. But quite frankly, I was really honestly taken aback that you were all called to this meeting. I thought that if you were going to be called to a meeting, that the representative of Keysgate Charter School that should have probably called you to a meeting where the item was actually going to be on the agenda. That probably would have been far more appropriate than to get you all out here on an evening when it wasn't on an agenda. I had a parent approach me yesterday, and she said, and she couldn't figure out why it was done either. One of the Keysgate parents, and she told me she wasn't going to come because she said, but it's not an agended item, and I said no. So I don't actually know why they targeted this night. I don't get it, but it was done that way. So I wanted to go ahead and open the floor for public comment at this time. Let's let the people speak, and you each have 3 minutes to speak. So why don't you go ahead and take the floor?
Mayor, may I just ask James a question, just so I know what's going on? So you're saying that we can't comment, the council cannot address any of the issues about concurrency or the application? We can't say anything?
No, you can have a general discussion with respect to concurrency and a general discussion with respect to your concurrency management system and how it applies to different applications or to applications. But with respect to the specifics of this proposed charter school that's currently pending in your planning department right now, I have to caution you all to be very careful not to get back and forth conversation or not to get back and forth with specifics, because your staff has not even properly analyzed everything, is not prepared to answer any questions, and those are all things that need to be taken into consideration in a duly noticed public hearing and a quasi-judicial matter.
So in other words, you'll stop us if we're saying something wrong.
Okay. James, if we cross the line, or if you feel like anybody's crossing the line, that we're actually discussing something that's going to be coming, and by the way, this is law. There's specific rules in law for quasi-judicial items, and we have to follow the law. So if I cross the line, or if anybody crosses the line, just let us know. Say, stop us.
And
Okay?
Maybe it goes without saying, but I think we should also announce that there will, at the end of this, there'll be no vote.
Oh, right. There's nothing to vote on tonight.
There's not in the end, so it's an opportunity for the council to make public comments, and they'll be taken into consideration, but there will be no vote, so I didn't want people to
So
be
there's nothing on the agenda. There's no agended item, and we'll go ahead and let you start. I want you to know that I have a copy of, some of the parents gave me a copy of the bullet points, emails, notices from the school, notices from the internet. I was told that you guys were given robocalls, as well as flyers, as well as meetings, as well as a real organized effort to get you here on this particular night. Go figure, I don't quite get it, but that's what you guys were told to do. I don't get it, but please go ahead. Madam Clerk, make sure you start the clock. Thank you.
Corinne Baez, 1871 Southeast 19th Avenue, resident in the Shores. I am a Homestead resident, also a teacher, a member of the leadership team at Keysgate Charter School, a member of Charter Schools USA. I can tell you, Mayor and Council, the reason why we were asked to come tonight is because there is a sense of urgency to get our new school approved within the next 30 days. For those of you that are not aware, there is an almost $800,000, what I've been told, mitigation fee that our company is being charged. That in my opinion is an exorbitant fee that Charter Schools USA cannot afford to pay. I'm not sure if you're aware that they've conducted their own traffic studies. They are willing to pay, so I'm coming tonight.
Excuse me, this is where, and with all due respect, what we're trying to do is, whatever the decision of the council is ultimately on the charter school, I don't want it to be subject to challenge because we've been outside of our normal procedure. So talk about, a need for a school, that's fine, the urgency, that's fine, but once you start talking about the $800,000 and that there's been studies done, then you're getting into the type of things that will be discussed at the hearing. So I'm going to stop you for everybody's sake.
Can I continue with what I was saying? Other than the traffic studies and so forth?
Depends upon what you say, but
okay, let me go. All right, it's no secret that area schools are struggling with issues such as academic achievement and safety. I attended my first education committee meeting, which I will be attending more, as a representative for our school, and I heard the issues that surround our area schools. I also heard about the wonderful things that the committee is doing to try and increase student achievement and safety. The need is evident that in Homestead we have a need for a high school. Charter Schools USA excels in academics and the environment that make up the big picture. Our new school would make a high school possible. Charter schools are public schools, and the fact remains that no other school has had to pay this fee. Case in point, every Charter School USA high school that upholds these high standards and has earned an A rating each year, they want to bring this to Homestead. Without the new school on Kingman Road, the K-8 Center, Charter School USA cannot make this possible. So I come to you not only as a homeowner, but I come to you as a teacher, a member of the Charter School USA family, with one request: to please rethink this fee and make a high school possible for our students.
Thank you. I know you're an exuberant crowd and you're clapping, and I understand that, but if we could just move, I know that you're all going to clap for everything that they say, and I understand that, but if we could just quickly move to the next person, it would be really great. So, because I would like to address these issues. I think our staff, Ms. Kamali, Mr. White, may want to address some of the statements that are being made, so that there need to be made some corrections on some of the things. So we want to give you your time. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, my name is Peggy Wells, 533 Northwest 14th Street. I'm a longtime parent of a child going to Keysgate Charter School. She's here tonight. She's in 6th grade. My husband and I have 2 other daughters that go to Keysgate Charter School. I want to thank the council for letting us come here to talk, because Mayor Bell, I know that when you ran for mayor, and as well as other members, you quoted yourselves as an education team, and I appreciate that. I've been a school teacher. We all have kids in school, so I want you to know, first of all, I appreciate that. Mayor Bell, you were elected as the first woman mayor of Homestead, and congratulations on that and making historical proportions in Homestead. I'm going to challenge you to continue making history. My daughter goes to Keysgate Charter School in the middle school, and my other options of going to a middle school are Redland Middle School and Campbell Drive Middle School, which in a recent survey by local Channel 10 were number 1 and number 2 of incidences of violence in their schools. Now, in the fall of 2011, she will go to high school. Her options are Homestead High and Southgate High, and I don't need to tell you where they rank with that CAT scores and their incidence ratings. If you watch the news today, we had an incident at Southgate High, and that's where my daughter would go in 3 years. I'm asking the council, where would you send your children? Now, Charter Schools USA has an opportunity to open another charter school, K through 8, that will feed into a high school. Not only that, recently I've been speaking to military wives, and it was nice to see the colonel here. I guess that's right. I'm sorry if I offended you by calling you the wrong rank. But I've been told by many military wives that when the opportunity comes to Homestead comes up for them, for their term or their stay, they hate it. They do not like coming to Homestead because of the school situations. And then when they have an opportunity to stay on, they choose not to because of the school situations. I know of several parents who are at Keysgate now who just recently took their kids out of Key Largo School because they had the opportunity to come to Keysgate. Now, I don't need to tell you how many miles it is 2 times a day going back and forth to Key Largo. In the 8 years that I've lived here, I've heard of many people leaving Homestead. The main reason, so they can put their kids in good schools. Again, I'm challenging this council to go back to what they went to when they were running for council seat, use their experience in education. Let's use it to go forward, and I'm asking you to continue making history in Homestead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Dr. Amy Paul Ward. I reside at 1215 North Field Lark Lane, Homestead. I am a professor at Florida International University, as well as a resident of Homestead, and I've got 3 children at Keysgate Charter School, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 7th grade. As a collegiate educator, I definitely understand the challenges that our children face as they go through substandard schools. Unfortunately, I see that every day in our classrooms, and while I'm proud to teach at Florida International University, I wish I could say that the school system from which our students come provided them with the type of education that I had the opportunity to obtain when I was going through my primary, secondary, and beyond education. And I was educated in an urban environment. I grew up in Los Angeles, and we faced a lot of the same challenges with language and with urban poverty, and yet the school systems were very different. And so for me, it's a huge concern to see that my children might potentially not do very well and not be competitive in the larger world as they mature and grow. And so I urge you to consider the importance of having safe and effective schools in our communities where our children can grow as citizens and scholars and active lifelong learners. And my children went to Campbell Elementary. My children went to Campbell Middle. And while I come from a biracial family and my children look like the demographics, my husband is from the Afro-Caribbean. I have an African-Caribbean stepchild who lives with me full-time. I have 2 children who look Hispanic. We look like the face of Homestead. And yet in our schools, we did not feel welcome at Campbell Elementary and Campbell Middle. They weren't accustomed to someone like me in that school system day to day. And it was very difficult. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to go to Keysgate Charter School every day and be in a diverse environment that embraces diversity and teaches our children and teaches them standards and teaches them what they need to accomplish in life, and to know that it's an A school and that they're learning what they need to do to excel. So thank you, and I hope you'll consider the importance of this school.
Thank you.
My name is Beth Armstrong. My address is 29650 Southwest 188th Court. I have 3 children. I have Brennan, who's in the 8th grade, who is looking at going into high school next year. A high school that terrifies me to death, that I would have to send him to an F school or a D school. To me, those aren't options. And with what happened at Southgate High School today, it doesn't make me feel any better. To know that I could possibly be sending my children to a charter school, high school, where they have gone through their entire career or their education at Keysgate Charter, where they have been safe, where they have been given a good education, where the leadership has an open door policy and they always listen. To know that they're going to be given a good education, and to know that I'm sending them to school safe is a large concern of mine. And I'm asking you tonight to please consider approving our schools, and we would cheer for you the way we cheered for Olive Garden and Longhorn, is basically what we're asking for.
Kim Vandermark, 3150 Southeast 7th Place. I am a resident of Keysgate and Homestead. I'm also a teacher at the charter school, and I've been there since the school opened. I have 3 children that attend there, a 2nd grader, a 4th grader, and a 6th grader. My 6th grader has been there since the school has opened. I am also worried about a high school because when he gets into 8th grade, my choice of high school is Homestead High. And as you know, it is an F school. Here he has been at Keysgate, where we push our kids, we have a safe environment, to go to a place where it's not that way. It's a very frightening thing for me as well as for him. The atmosphere of our school is like a family. My children have never felt unsafe at our school. My children have been pushed by their teachers to excel and to be the best that they can be. I have spoke to other parents whose kids go to middle schools in this area, and they come home with horror stories about things that happen at their school. We have none of that at our school. And it scares me, like I said, as it does my children. In order for us to get a high school, we need to have another feeder school, because we don't have enough kids to make a high school. So what I'm requesting of you is that you remove the fee or accept what the charter schools is offering you, so that we can get this school open in 2009, so we can get a high school in 2010. When making this decision, think about the children, not about the adults, not about Charter Schools USA, what they can make from it, but think about the kids, because those are the ones that are going to suffer or benefit from your decision. And these children are our future. So please drop this fee so that my child, as well as the kids that I educate and the other children, have a chance to go to a place where they can learn and be safe and be the great people that they can be. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor. My name is Monica Velasco Bunsen. I'm a resident of Homestead, 2917 Augusta Drive. I made a note just because it's a very emotional issue for me. This year, my daughter is in 8th grade, and she will have to face the application process and the uncertainty of not knowing what high school she will go to. So I did write to you in an email, to you and to the Vice Mayor Burgess, because I did vote for you. I wrote to you with great concern.
That's a good start.
I wrote to you with great concern about the issues related to the new K-8 to be built by Charter Schools USA. My daughters have attended the current school since the first year, and now in the blink of an eye, my oldest is an 8th grader. I recommitted to the Homestead area after 14 years of living outside of Homestead, and I purchased a second home, assured by the commitment both of you campaigned under to provide us citizens with more educational options for our children. I voted for both of you because I felt you had the best interest in mind of the children and young families of this community. Charter Schools USA has provided our family an option and has given our daughters an exceptional education, lifelong friends, and memorable experiences of their school and their community. I invested in Keysgate when having the option to leave because I had a good school. I went everywhere. Fort Pierce, Tradition up north, all the way to the West Coast. My husband works for a major airline carrier, and we have options, but we decided to stay in Homestead because this is where our friends are. Charter Schools USA's commitment to this area has been proven, and now they need your support and not a penalty for wanting to build another successful school. I support the building of the new school because it would allow a second quality school to be developed, which eventually could feed into a possible high school. It is understandable that there is a concern about traffic, but as I, a taxpayer of this community, already contribute and pay to alleviate this problem. If Charter Schools USA had not built a school here, I would have had to continue to pay for private school, Princeton Christian School, and had had no benefit from my own children's right to a free public education. So I am here to request your support for a new Charter Schools USA. I respectfully request that you become reasonable and realize that you are negotiating numbers, dollars and cents to you, but this is not a store, this is not a new car dealership, this is not a home improvement, this is not Best Buy. Charter Schools USA is trying to build a school which will help build our community. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, I'm Kim Mellon, 1400 Egret Road. I'm a 6-year member of, citizen of Homestead, so fairly new. My husband was recruited out of the Navy, retired, works at FPL. I have 2 children that go to Keys Gate, one in 4th grade, one in 7th grade. So again, I am faced with the situation of we are coming to high school, looking forward to middle school, high school. My home school, if I did not have the option of going to Keys Gate Charter, lucky enough to be with them, would be Campbell Drive Elementary, Campbell Drive Middle, and then Homestead High School, which cannot be an option in its current states for us. I mean, my kids are thriving there. I'm just having a real hard time understanding from the situations that are going to come ahead of you. The Keys Gate charter school system I'm very new to. I didn't know much about charter schools before my kids go there. I've educated myself a lot on them and understand, that they do work. And Charter Schools USA, which runs our school, has a track record. They're proven in many counties across Florida. They do work. They have nothing but A schools. And the fact that they would like to open another school in our community, looking forward to, in the second year, an A high school is a dream come true for all of us. So, I mean, the urgency of the matter, and I think, I'm sorry that you don't understand why we're all here tonight, but for us, it is very important because of the urgency of the decision. The charter will run out if this doesn't get approved in the next 30 days. For that to happen and to start from scratch with charter schools, it can be a 2-year process. So I'm pretty certain, I don't know Miami-Dade's schedule on getting us a high school or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen in the next year and the next 2 years, which is what this company can make happen for us. So I implore you just to please consider negotiating, working to make this happen for our kids. So thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor Bell, ladies and gentlemen of the council, and ladies and gentlemen of the audience. My name is Karina Hamilton. I reside at 1330 South Audubon Drive, The Villages. I'm 13 years old and an 8th grade student, and of course I'm going to high school next year. I'm here this evening on behalf of all the Keys Gate students and as president of the student body. I am asking for your support to help Charter Schools USA open a new K-8 center that will eventually allow the opening of Keys Gate High School. For the past few years, I, as well as my peers, have been students at Keys Gate, and I'm here to tell you that we have been exposed and given many opportunities to excel, not only in academics, but also in social and athletic events. Keys Gate students are able to belong to amazing clubs and groups that give us young people a chance to learn, practice, and apply skills that we will need in the future. I, for example, am the very first president of the student government at Keys Gate. This election took place the day after the presidential elections, giving us students the opportunity to understand and exercise our civic duties and responsibilities when electing a candidate democratically. Many students are also part of the National Junior Honor Society Voters Club, where I am the vice president. Keys Gate, with the management of Charter School USA, gives us members of the National Junior Honor Society Voters Club a chance to do service projects to help the community and even go on fun and educational field trips such to Washington, D.C. and Boston. Keys Gate also offers clubs such as Defy It, which our president's sitting over there, that teaches kids to be drug-free, and Strive that teaches kids the importance of leadership and moral character. As for sports, we have a Keys Gate volleyball team, girls and boys soccer team, swim team, cheerleading, and baseball team. As you can see, Keys Gate has all of its bases covered. I would now like to talk to you about one of the most important variables in any school, the teachers. If it weren't for teachers, we the students would not be able to accomplish everything I mentioned previously. I've had many great teachers at Keysgate. Even with my skills and talents, the teachers at Keysgate have helped gear me in the right direction with their guidance and support. Charter Schools USA has done a great job equipping, training, and guiding our teachers in order to provide us with the best education possible. I would like to mention the safe environment at Keysgate. The reason my parents chose Keysgate for me was because they heard of its reputation of being a very safe school. Lastly, but certainly not least, I want to remind you why I continued at Keysgate. Number one, I look forward to future education with Charter Schools USA along with my peers. And number two, I am discouraged about the possibility of attending an F school where students do not take education as their first priority as they do at Keysgate. So I ask you, Mayor Bell, and members of the council to help support our endeavor in opening the 2 schools that will benefit the lives of students, teachers, and ultimately our community, where we can continue spreading the excellence we have found in Charter Schools USA.
Karina, I'd like to invite you. I started something, a civics lesson with the mayor, and it's really like a civics half day with the mayor. And I've done 2 classes, and I'm entertaining. I've done Waterstone Charter School, Princeton Christian, and then this week we're doing Air Base. So I started something, so I would like to invite your class as well to come and have a civics lesson with the mayor so we can teach a little bit about city government. So I love it, and we put the classes in here, and we just, give you a little tour and let you sit in the mayor's seat and all that good stuff. So come back, okay?
Well, my speech isn't that great, but we'll go on.
Yeah, how do you like following that?
I'm April Hughes. I live at 2670 Dunwoody Place, Homestead, Florida. You all know, I'm here tonight as a parent. We have 4 children. 2 of them are currently enrolled right now. This high school means a lot to us. But on the outside, to just let you all know that violence is a reality. I worked at the area hospital. I was formerly in a pediatric emergency room there. And what they are speaking of tonight and what we are bringing to you tonight is definitely an issue. Violence is very important, and it is real in our community. I do not want my children to be part of this. I like the fact that they have the option of going to Charter Schools USA school. Keysgate has been wonderful for them. I remember the very first day unloading textbooks off of the truck right there when the school opened. We were there unloading those. I want to help with the high school. I want to make this happen for our community. It's very important. Homestead is coming along, and I do not want to be stagnant when it comes to our education. We need to progress, and we need to make our children prepared for the future so they can go off to college. It's very important. It's vital to our community, because if not, we're going to lose these citizens that care about their children, and this is very important for us. And I had to go before him because the soliloquy he's going to come with right now is just, I can't even imagine. So thank you very much for your time this evening, and please just make it happen for our children.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wes Hughes, married to April Hughes, 4 kids with her. Shebang. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen of the court, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and if it please the court, and make no mistake, that's exactly what these people are, as your judge and jury. The reason why they're all here is the same reason why I'm here, and that's basically the school system that exists for the upper level education here, pardon, obviously college notwithstanding, is lacking. Some of you have kids, some of you know me, know my kids. Some of you don't, I don't know. But I know that I don't want my kids going to a school where I'm going to worry about my kid getting nailed in the teeth with brass knuckles. And it's pretty simple. Miss Mary, you were asking why these people are here. True enough that the issue is not up for vote. I understand, I respect that. We're trying to do what any good constituency would do, and that's try to sway you in the way we want you to vote. We need that second feeder school because we need that high school. It's that simple. It really does boil down to that. And if nothing else, from any of these people who have been up here talking to you, if you leave with nothing else, remember this, and that is the right decision for the wrong reason is forgivable. It's acceptable. It's even politics. But the wrong reason or the wrong decision for the right reason is something we will never forget. So you take that to heart when you come up with your decision-making paradigm and you talk amongst yourselves. Thank you for your time.
My name is Greg Wells, and I'm nobody. I'm here because my wife told me I had to be. I live at 533 Northwest 14th Street in Homestead. Well, we got a Longhorns pass. We have Oliver Garden pass, which I don't like because now I got to watch my wife at lunchtime. We got a assistance living, we have a bread and breakfast, and it would not look good if we did not get a school out of this. But I will say this, and I know I was supposed to say this, thank you for allowing us to meet with you, Mayor and Council. And I know the Mayor, and I'm pretty sure others will understand, I'm at peace with whatever you decide. If my daughter has to go to South Day, she'll go. I could accept that. However, there was a marriage between the City of Homestead and Keysgate Charter. And I know Keysgate Charter, I'm not silly. They may not have been perfect in this dealing. And probably the city probably wasn't perfect in their dealing, and there may be bad blood, and maybe, I'm not sure. I've heard both ways. But however, the marriage produced an A school. Now what we need to do is forgive, forget, and you move on and produce an A high school now. And it can be done because we just did it. And I cannot control what I cannot know what's in your heart. I mean, we could sit there and speculate all day. Only God knows. But you know that us here, we're concerned, and I know you would be. There's no doubt that you would be. It's all that little figure. I won't mention this to the attorney. It's that little figure. If we can get them between X, I'm pushing it, and Y, and somewhere get in the middle, and just forget everything that happened bad. Because listen, I'm sorry. I know Keysgate Charter School wasn't perfect. I think we can still do the same thing. But again, I want to emphasize, I'm at peace with whatever you make. I never dreamt that my daughter had to go to charter school, because I was private school all my life. But however it worked out, thank you, and I'll accept whatever you decide. But please, we want you to do this, but only God knows your heart. Thank you.
My name is Henry Capote. I reside at 1480 Southeast 18th Terrace. I am a father with 2 children at Keysgate Charter. My daughter's in 2nd grade. My son is in 5th grade. My son has autism. When he started school, he was put into special classes and separated from the general population. At Keysgate Charter, he has been in the general population and has excelled. He has been on the honor roll numerous times. I look forward to the day that we can build another school and a high school so children like him can continue to progress compared to what happened today at South Day, that a child was removed from there unconscious. It would be nice in the future, if this high school is built, to see the City Commission and the Mayor come from the Keysgate Charter High School. So we ask that you please give us the opportunity to let Charter Schools USA build this school that will give us the future leaders that we need. Thank you.
Hello, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilwomen, and men and women. My name is Richard Kahn. I live at 2921 Augusta Circle in Homestead. I've been a product of and I've been asked to come and speak just for a couple of minutes on a fiscal aspect, because there's not much I could say about the school being an A and everybody before me. But I'm a product of 43 years. I went in Dade County. I started out in North Miami Beach, and before Aventura came up, when the schools came up to the A schools, we had to move out because the properties went from 16,000 to 100,000. And then when I moved to North Miami, the same thing happened, and I had to move south. And then when we went to Kendall, the school right off Sunset, the name slips me, became an A school, and the house went from $80,000 to $380,000. And we said, oh, well, where are we going to move? So we moved to Homestead. Because of the F schools and the D schools that we were surrounded with, we were able to buy a beautiful home for a few $100,000. I think that it's obvious that, and how you run your balance sheet is an issue that your new accountant, I'm sure, can voice. But one of the things that seems obvious over my 43 years of moving through Dade County is, number one, I'm probably going to die here. I wish to die here. But the other thing is
But not too soon.
Hopefully not. The thing is that I believe, and you would know best, but with every home transaction and with every person that moves in, the tax base of the city increases. With every vacant house that we have, the tax problems of the city increase. And so by being able to attract, why would a home in Pinecrest or up by 152nd where they have A schools be so much money is because a lot of people want to move in. And I truly believe that just from a fiscal sense, while it may be a little bit more or a little bit less in the beginning, if we did have a system of the A schools that these folks have proven, I have 2 honor roll students in there, and I come as a parent for all the years they've been there since it opened, that if we get something like that coming into our neighborhood, I believe we would maybe take a look at the fiscal benefit of that by the increase of business, the increase of construction, the new houses that we're giving permitting to, all of those vacancies that are up around Campbell Drive. If you knew, well, oh, gee, I don't know how many people, and we've said this before, I believe, when at another time, but I don't know how many people are rushing to say, oh, gee, let me move into that F school area. I think that they would be saying, I'd be willing to move into that A school area no matter what. That's where I want to be. I want my kids to go to an A school. I want that demonstrated. And I believe that financially, while it's only a few $100,000, and I know that the current school was, I believe it was $40 million, something like that.
You need to wrap it up. Your 3 minutes is up.
Yes. I believe that in comparison, the few $100,000 may be able to be worked out. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Linda Barnes. I'm a resident of your neighborhood, Mayor. I'm at 2909 Augusta Drive. I speak to you not as a parent of a student at any of these schools, but as one of the teachers and a relatively new resident of Homestead. My husband and I have moved here just over a year ago. We have chosen Homestead as our place to retire when the time comes. Not quite there yet. We chose Homestead, Florida because my husband is a born and bred Floridian. I am originally from Virginia, but we have lived all over the United States. I've taught in 6 different school systems. Well, I've taught in many more school systems, 6 different states in the United States. And I have chosen to teach at this charter school because it's an A school and because I, like your Teacher of the Year, have been called to teach. I've been teaching since my students, go away, 1976. I've been teaching a long time, and I love what I do. I am currently the 7th grade science teacher. I am certified math also, and would be very honored to move to the high school when the time comes. I have taught all the way up through the 12th grade, and I think this is an awesome, awesome school. I don't think I've ever taught in any better. And I've taught all the way from California to Maryland to Virginia to Orlando and many others, Atlanta. So I commend this school. I cannot honestly say that I was part of them being an A+, but I plan on being part of them continuing that. And we appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
My name's Troy Guild. I'm a resident in Homestead, 79 Northeast 12th Avenue. As many of you know, I voted for you up there. I've been here since 2002, and I love Homestead. I like to live the rest of my life here. But when I first moved here, I found out not all schools are equal. I have 3 boys, which is the main reason that I'm here tonight. My eldest went to middle school. He went to Campbell Drive Middle School. And I found out to my horror that it did not compare at all to the schools I was used to up in New Jersey. In New Jersey, I found out that the schools were at a much higher standard, except for a city that I once substituted in, which was Camden, New Jersey. In Camden, New Jersey, 15 years ago, they were voted the worst city in America. And I would compare Campbell Drive Middle School to the schools that were in that city. To my horror, I moved in the middle of the school year to find out my son coming home and tell me there's no control in the class. Naive as I was like, okay, he can't be serious. I'm like, come on, just block out the noise, don't pay attention. Day after day, he would come. Dad, I can't concentrate. People are talking. The teachers have no control. They're teaching us stuff that I learned in elementary school. So how are these equal? So I was there for less than a month, and I decided to do something about it. I got my kids into Keysgate Charter School, and I've been very happy ever since. I also, a couple of years back, through working at the YMCA, I know one of the assistant principals at Homestead High School. You know what his advice was? Don't send your eldest son there. That was his advice. What kind of schools? They're not all equal. So what I asked the council to do is to help Keysgate build another school so they can then also build a high school. It's the best thing for Homestead. It will make Homestead better and want people to move here if they have schools that are A schools that would want people to come to these schools. That would be my recommendation to help them out. Thank you for listening.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Beltran. I'm here as a teacher and as a parent. I have 3 kids. I have a 13-year-old which currently goes to Keysgate. I have a 16-year-old and I have a 19-year-old. My 2 boys used to go to Homestead Senior High, in which shattered my dream for my senior, which couldn't graduate because they bullied him and harassed him and said that they were going to be killed. So I had to take him out of high school and put him into Miami-Dade so he could actually take his GED, which at this point is still hard for him to take it because he couldn't finish his 1 credit left as a senior. My 16-year-old, currently I had to take him out of there because I could not leave him there and I would not put him into South Dade either. So currently he's going to Miami Sunset. It's very hard as a parent when you've shown your kids to be, honor students. My kids have been police cadets, firefighter explorers, gifted program, honor program, and all of a sudden this child that wants to become a lawyer says, I want to quit. I don't want to go to school anymore. At that point, I'm saying, what is going on with your grades? What is going on with you? Mom, I'm not challenged enough. And I wish that Keysgate had a high school back then, and I kept telling Miss Sandler, when is it going to happen? And they kept telling me, just keep praying. And I keep praying now because I have a 13-year-old in 8th grade, in which at this point, surely not am I going to send her to Homestead Senior High, nor South Dade, nor Robert Morgan, or anything else. At this point, I will send her to Miami Sunset until Keysgate High is there. So I please ask you to reconsider them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is going to be the last comment. I was told it was going to be like 14 or 15, and there's been like 20 so far. Okay. 18. We just had the 18th. No, go ahead, please.
Good evening. My name is Robin Sandler. I'm the principal of Keysgate Charter. I'm going to give you my address. It's 2000 Southeast 28th Avenue because that's really where I spend most of my time. That's the school's address. I'm in my third year here at Keysgate, and I'm very proud to be working with the individuals that I do on a daily basis, and know you have to come to school on time tomorrow. You're not coming in an hour late. I'm also proud to be associated with Charter School USA, an organization made up of people who strive each day to do what's best for kids and their employees. As principal, I spend a good deal of my time problem solving with students, with teachers, with staff, and with parents. This requires constant collaboration, working with all groups to come to a resolution that I believe is fair, all can live with, and most importantly, is in the best interest of our children. That is what I am requesting of the council this evening. You've heard all our talking points. I won't repeat them. All I ask is that you take all that has been presented this evening and make a decision based on what's fair, what's just, what all groups can accept, and is in the best interest of our children. Thank you.
Thank you, and as soon as you guys are finished, I have my comments ready too. Go ahead.
Roger Trujillo, 1386 Northwest 16th Street in Homestead. I want a school here also. I want a great school. I have 2 kids left in school. And if I was a bank, seeing how much backing this school has, I'd lend them all the money in the world. It's a guaranteed business, and that's what it is. It's a business. They wouldn't be here if we weren't here to go in schools, if we weren't ready for another school. Bottom line, it's a business. Longhorn, everybody's happy for. Olive Garden, everybody's happy for. This shopping center paid tons of money in taxes because this council did not approve them, so that we wouldn't keep having the accidents, or we wouldn't have even worse accidents on that road until everything was right for that shopping center to go there. Same thing with the school. It's a process. They need to pay what they have to pay. They do have to do their traffic study. How many of your kids are going to walk to school?
I'm going to cut you off in the same way as I did if you started talking about the traffic study.
Oh, wait. Guys, excuse me. Everybody was, I'm going to demand politeness for every speaker. Everybody was very polite for you, and we're going to demand that very same politeness. If anybody dares to disagree, we're going to demand that very same politeness for everybody, because I know that that's the way you would have it. Thank you. Mr. Trujillo?
Okay, how to word this? How many of your kids are going to walk to school, and are you concerned about what's going to happen with your kids walking to school, or are we going to wait to have 6, 7, 8 accidents to then try and figure and fix the problem? Is that better? Okay. Bottom line, it's a business, and they make a lot of money. They make more money than any grocery store you can imagine. They make more money than any store you can imagine. They make X amount of dollars guaranteed every 45 square feet.
They're providing a good product.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
If you cannot behave yourself, you will need to leave the chambers. Everybody was respectful. Let's keep it that way. No, nobody, you know what? There's been a lot of answers for everybody that spoke, but we're waiting our turns because we're respectful, right?
Again, I agree with you. I do. But it's a business. And they do make the money. They can pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Sullivan, 1860 Southeast 6th Court. I'm also a resident of Keysgate. I'm a resident that's going to be very close to this new school. I had no idea that this was going to be discussed tonight, so I haven't had a chance to look at what the plans are to make any comments or bring it back to my neighborhood. So I'm strictly speaking as a resident of the city of Homestead. Very interesting. I think it's great to see people enthused over education. I'm concerned that we are asking the city to do things that, in my opinion, isn't proper. There's procedures to be followed. I can only remind anybody that remembers the mess that the Keysgate Charter School did to the traffic on Kingman Road. And that problem is still there today. Next month, if the city sells the baseball stadium, where are you going to do your loading zone? So now I'm gathering from what I hear here tonight that you're putting the school on a much smaller piece of land. Keysgate's around 10 acres, this piece is around 6. You're having more stations.
I'm sorry to stop you, but I want to have the same rules for everybody. So talk generally about the subject, but if you have comments to make about the site itself and so forth, we're going to have another hearing at which the quasi-judicial hearing.
Point taken.
Where you can make those comments.
Okay. My comment is, I think it's very premature to come in here and ask the city to waive whatever they're supposed to waive. I don't know what it is. I'm very concerned when this plan comes forward to see what the traffic is going to be. Because for me, I have no problem. I think education for kids is fantastic. In fact, I was over in the Homestead Middle School last week and I had a real men read. It was an enjoyable event. I was absolutely thrilled with the principal, all the students. They were so respectful. I understand there's a lot of things if you're a parent. You can probably look at my hair and understand it's been a while since I had a kid in school. But I'm just saying is that you're asking the city to do something that I, as a resident and taxpayer, don't think is in the proper venue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, I'm John Hage. I'm the president of Charter Schools USA. I wanted to be here tonight in person to ensure that the reason for being here was explained. This process has been ongoing for nearly a year, and we are at the point where we are out of time. It was reluctant but necessary to ensure that all parents knew what was going on. This is their school at the end of the day, not ours. Yes, we develop and operate charter schools, and I'm very proud of that. We've done that in your city. We were the first to operate and develop a charter school. That school has been highly successful, and for that, we have parents who are happy. That's our reward. Yes, it's a business. It's a good business. It's one that's been my life's learning and longing to do. I started this company from scratch. I built it up little by little, lost a lot of money doing it, and over time built it to the place where we are today that runs schools throughout Florida. We're the largest operator of charter schools in the state of Florida. I recently received endorsements from our former Governor Jeb Bush all the way through to where I still continue to advise in the current government today on high-quality charter schools, and I'm very proud of what we've done. This school is a first-class school, and you know that, and I know you're a supporter of charter schools, and no one here tonight would say otherwise. I also know that the process is flawed. You may think that the process works, but it does not. We would not be here with all these parents tonight spending all of our time, all of our effort, and all of this energy if we did not think the process was flawed. The process needs to be fixed because we're out of time and we still don't have a resolution. I do appreciate the mayor who's reached out and asked for a meeting tomorrow with the city manager and staff, with our staff, and we look forward to that meeting. I also want to just say a few things on the record to ensure that they're on there. This new K-8 school would be 75 new jobs, give or take, just under $20 million in construction, would increase local investment, and be a proven educational component.
Excuse me, Mayor. We can't go down that path.
I know.
I'm sorry.
All right, I'll avoid that. In addition, a high school would create another 100 jobs, which is not on the agenda under the quasi-judicial process, and would create approximately $30 million in new development as well. A K-8 school is necessary so that we have enough students graduating from 8th grade to create a high school with enough students to have a viable high school. It's real simple math. That's why we need to do it this way. In other school systems that we work schools, like in Lee County, we actually have 4 K-8s that feed 1 high school there, and it's very effective in that because the 8th graders automatically get seats in the high school, and it provides for a good program.
Mr. Hayes, you're out of time.
Okay. I just want to finish by saying thank you for listening, and that I'll never apologize for making sure that parents are involved and informed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to clarify something. My question was, somebody said, you want to know why we're here tonight? We're here because it's important. Nobody challenged that. What I was saying is that there wasn't an agendaed item. That's usually when somebody comes to speak to an item, they come because it's on the agenda. I want to tell you something. While I completely understand the parents feel and appreciate it, because I'm a parent and a grandparent, I have 7 grandchildren that reside in the city of Homestead, within the city of Homestead, and 5 of them are in school, by the way, in public schools. So I totally understand one is actually not in public school. But I want to tell you something. I've been listening to this over and over again, and one of the things that everybody had in common, everybody had something in common, and you all said the word high school. We need this for a high school. We need this for a high school. This will help us feed into another high school. This is a feeder school into a high school. Every one of you said a high school, but it's interesting because there is no high school for discussion that's going to be coming up. It's K through 8. Now, I'm a little troubled by what I consider to be, and I'm going to be very blunt here tonight because that's all I know how to be. I'm very, very concerned about a bait and switch to try to tell the parents that you have to have another K through 8 in order to have a high school. And when I'm also concerned about comments like we're at a time. 1 year ago, Mr. David came to this podium right here and brought this issue to us, and I said, why are you here? You need to meet with staff. That was almost a year ago. And I get tired of people who delay the process themselves or come behind the 8 ball themselves. One was, we can't discuss that. Can I ask when the application for concurrency was actually submitted? Okay. I can't talk about the application. Okay, because this is an emergency, this is an emergency, this is an emergency, but let me tell you when the application was actually submitted. Ms. Kamali, when was the application actually submitted for concurrency?
10/17/08.
Okay, October 17th. So 1 month ago, the application for concurrency was actually submitted. So this bit about it's emergency when the developer only submitted the application 1 month ago for concurrency. You know, so it's like, hurry up and do it because I didn't submit my application until now. Now, let me say something very specifically. You know, the ultimate goal is eventual high school. The ultimate goal is eventual high school. And they're telling you they have to have another K through 8 to have another high school. I have been asking the charter school developers for a high school for years. I have been fighting for schools within the city of Homestead for 5 years. I was the voice who cried out in the wilderness for a high school. I was the one who was downtown at the school board meetings. I was the one who fought. In fact, you know, let me give you a specific example. The school that's going over there right off of North Canal Drive across the street from the clubhouse, I fought for that. And when the school board failed us on that, and they failed us, and the former school board member, Evelyn Good, failed us on it, and Rudy Crew failed us on it, and when they backed out and they weren't going to fund it because of this fake contamination issue, I wanted that land conveyed to the city of Homestead so that we could convey it to a charter school. And I fought for that and fought for that. And that went down on a 5-2 vote. And let me tell you, that went down bad. And I supported that and I fought for that to become a charter school, and I lost that issue. So, and so let me tell you something. So I have been fighting for charter schools. I'm a believer in all kinds of schools. I'm a believer that there are plenty of children to go around for all schools. Public charter, traditional public, private schools, there's children. Now, I'm going to tell you why I know for a fact that you don't need to have another K through 8 to have a high school. I sat in a meeting in this manager's conference room about 4 months ago with developers from Charter Schools USA as well as the landowners of a portion in the Park of Commerce. And they told me that if they could get a special use exemption permit on that, if I cross the line, you tell me, Richard. They told me, and the manager was in the room, or no, I don't think you were, I think Ms. Faddis was in the room, or Ms. Kamal. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I sat in that room, and I was told by Charter Schools USA developers and the attorneys and the representative that if we could get a special use exemption permit for the Park of Commerce, for a school to be built in the Park of Commerce, that they would build a high school, and they could start it now. They could start it tomorrow, and we could have a school. As a matter of fact, they said, well, Mayor, if you can get that done, if you can get that charter school approval for us, and the developers, the actually owners of the land were in there as well. If you can get that, we can get shovels in the ground right away, and we can have a school, high school opening in 2009, because the Park of Commerce is not an acceptable use for a high school, so they were baiting me that if I could get them a special use exemption permit, that we could have a high school by 2009. So I'm sorry, guys, but I'm very upset. I'm upset for you. I'm upset for you, because I can't discuss this application, but I can discuss state law. We have concurrency in our state law, and the state law mandates that ends up going into our comprehensive master plan that goes into our ordinance. By law, whatever fee is assessed, and I don't even think there's an actual fee in cement yet, because the application from on concurrency hasn't been heard yet, because it was just submitted a month ago. So I'm very frustrated. I'm frustrated for you. And I've been very frustrated because I've been reading all these emails and I've responded to a few of them, but I'm angry. And I'm angry because I have had a very good relationship with Charter Schools USA, and I supported them. I support their education process. I support Waterstone Charter School. I support Somerset Charter School. I support Rise Academy Charter School. I support schools. We have a wonderful education chair, Nadia Sierra, who was an educator herself for years with a master's in education, who is striving to improve these schools that are in trouble, working very hard, being on the assessment team over and over again. So we are working our tails off for good schools and for good quality schools in the city of Homestead. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm upset because of the way that I think that you guys have been handled. I think you've been handled improperly, and I'm upset about it, because nobody wants another school more than me. Nobody wants more schools more than me. So I'm upset, and I'm upset for you. And quite frankly, I have to say, for all the emails and the website and all the talking points and everything, you didn't get the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So I'm just saying shame on you guys, really shame on you for doing this to good parents like you. You guys are my citizens. And let me tell you something, and I love you guys. I fight for you guys every single day to do the very best, and especially with transparent government. You know, you're going to hear the truth from me. And somebody said something that they know that we're going to go from our hearts. Let me tell you, this is not about emotion. This is about doing the right thing. Let me tell you, if we don't obey the law, then the law was passed because developers were allowed to build unchecked. And schools are not exempt. Public schools are not exempt. And I know it says this here, they're not exempt. Charter schools are public schools, and they must be treated the same as per state law? Absolutely. That's absolutely correct, and they're not exempt. The ultimate goal is the high school. On and on and on. Public schools have not been forced to pay these fees. In fact, no school has ever paid this fee in Homestead. Well, we hadn't had a new school in 30 years in Homestead. And that's why I am fighting for schools, including the new one that's going up. That new school would not be in existence today if it wasn't for me fighting for it. It wouldn't be there. And that is a fact. And so, okay, so now, the site, there's a lot of arguments in the bullet points that are not correct. They're just very, very incorrect. And let me tell you, I think one of the gentlemen said it, and I think Mr. Trujillo is in real estate. And everybody has to pay their fair share, and I think that's all I better say about that. But there's a state law that we have to obey. Here's the option. Here's the option according to attorneys, according to people who write master plans, comprehensive master plans. You have two choices. You cannot make fees go away. You can't. Either the school operators pay for it, and it's a for-profit school. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I don't care, quite frankly. You're getting a great product, the kids are getting a great education. I'm okay with that. They're a for-profit school. But to use the parents to get out of paying their fair share, I'm a little upset about that. Yes, I am. Because other developers have to pay it. That DVR site that's over there, the Homestead Pavilion, and those Olive Gardens and those Longhorn that we approved tonight, I think they had to pay upwards of $4 million to mitigate their traffic. And we not only have a responsibility to the citizens of Homestead to bring schools, but I have a responsibility to you to make sure that you can actually drive on the streets. To make sure that you have roads to drive on, to make sure that what happened at Keysgate Charter School does not happen again, that there is not a mile down the road of cars parked on Kingman Drive waiting to get into the school. I have to make sure that those things happen too. I have to abide by state law. Here's the two options. The options are this. The Charter School USA company or whatever company that bills pays, or the taxpayers pay. That's the law. That's the law. Either the taxpayers pay, every taxpayer in the Homestead. We figured out that if this amount is correct, that would be $500,000 per household in order to pay for this developer's concurrency. So, excuse me.
That's misinformation.
You know what, can you clarify, there's been a lot of misnomers about impact fees, there's been a lot of things about they already, all new residents in the immediate area and future residents in the immediate area has significant traffic impact fees paid as a part of the permitting of a new home. That's not accurate.
That's not correct.
That's not correct at all. Yes, you're next, Councilwoman.
That bullet is very confusing. However, I don't know if whoever gave them that talking point referred to the impact fees, which refers to parks, police, and roads.
That's what I think they mean.
In terms of transportation. Plus, there were other misleading points there about the BUD approved, and this is a part of the BUD.
Right.
Actually, when the BUD was approved, it was prior to the state statute requirements, and also it was not included in traffic study when it was conducted then. Mayor, there's lots of misinformation, and if you please allow me to say something here.
Please, and then Councilman Lobos has been waiting.
I just want to piggyback on what the principal said. She said her job is to solve problems. And I want to say here, as a city manager, that's my job too. And I was never consulted, neither me, nor my assistant, nor going to the mayor. They went directly to you. And John Haig, Mr. John Haig, this is the first time I see you actually. And you say you don't apologize for informing parents. I really think you should apologize for misinforming them, because in your good talking points, I'll be happy to go over them one by one with you in a meeting with the parents, not tonight, meeting with you with the parents, and I would dispute every single talking point you have here, because unfortunately you use
Mr. Hayes,
please allow me to finish.
Mr. Hayes, wait.
Could you please allow me to finish?
Excuse me, we have the floor.
Can you have him removed, Mayor?
No, let's give him another chance. Mr. Hayes, we have scheduled a meeting for you tomorrow because we finally have a request for a meeting from you. Mr. Manager. Mr. Manager, continue, please.
Yes, Mayor. I'm just saying, there was lots of misinformation. Again, we talked about the timeline here. They say, I hear some of the parents saying we have 30 days to approve it. Well, when Mr. Tom David came in front of you, and again used some of these parents to come and speak, he said, I have 5 days to get an approval, January 22nd. We have a letter on file. In September 16, they said they have to have it approved by September. This is a moving target, Mayor.
And we have letters on file that state that.
And like you said, you said it's $500,000 if the number is correct. Again, that's not a number they have to pay. They could mitigate the...
Right.
It's not submitted to us as final number. They could mitigate it by doing certain improvements themselves. Let their engineers come up with a solution. There's lots of capable engineers who could do this thing.
That's correct, by the way. In lieu of whatever dollars have to be paid, they can mitigate it themselves. They can actually make the improvements themselves.
Do I have a chance to respond, Mayor?
Yes, you will. Okay. So there is another side to this story as well. And that's what I was trying to tell the parents in an email. There is another side to this, and I'm really afraid you've been misled, and I'm pretty unhappy about it.
Mayor, you mentioned it's $500,000, and I can tell you it costs every single household in Homestead $40. $40. for them to have 800 kids educated. That's costing the 60,000 residents of Homestead, for each household $40, it's $500.
And then we have to go through the same thing with every other developer. Any other thing, once we set that precedent, we are done. Yes.
Mayor,
Mr. Khan, please do not.
That same tax?
I think. Mr. Khan, if you want to ask a question, you can wait 1 minute and come up to the podium, please.
Please wait.
Madam Mayor, first of all,
Yes.
I just wanted to, so you establish procedure.
Yes.
You're going to start.
You know what, I tell you, we're not going to do that. Mr. Khan, we're done with the public discussion. We're not going to do that. I am having a private meeting tomorrow. We're not going to do that. I'm sorry. We're going to be here till midnight if this keeps up. But I will, yes.
Maybe I could just, I think the council understands this well, but for the benefit of the public, just sort of explain a little bit.
And then Ms. Lobos, in fact,
about what we're talking about.
Ms. Weiss, after you speak, I want Ms. Lobos to speak, and then Mr. Hayes, because Ms. Lobos has been
About what we're talking
speak
about.
as well.
The application that we're not allowed to talk about is, the subject of the application is not whether there will be a school or not. That is not what is in front of the council.
That's not up to us.
That's not in front of the council. The issue that's being discussed is what's called a concurrency. What happened in the state was that for many, many years, and you see it in Kendall, and I know you experience it every day here, developers were allowed to put in improvements, and they were not required to provide the infrastructure, the roads, the water, the sewer, and other things that were necessary in order to properly support that infrastructure. And that's why you have such traffic jams in Florida, because what happened was that everybody was so excited and so anxious to have the development that they did not ask the developers, who were going to make profits from all of that, to build the necessary roads and to support those developments. What happened was that in Florida, basically, the legislature recognized that this was a real problem. And so they mandated that cities have what's called concurrency review. And that means for every application that comes in, whether it be the Longhorn Steakhouse or the charter school, the city then looks and there's studies done by engineers to determine what is the impact of those facilities. In this particular case, it hasn't been determined yet what the impact is, but what the law says is that that impact has to be taken care of. And what the mayor was trying to explain, and I think she did explain, was that that impact can be taken care of a couple of ways. It can be taken care of by the developer, and there's studies that are done to show what kind of road improvements are necessary in order to take care of a particular development. If it is not done by the developer, then it's got to be put into what's called the city's capital improvement plan, and it's got to be paid for by the city itself. Those are the two ways that it gets taken care of. And so the issue here, and the issue that is not whether the school will be approved, but the issue is how the improvements get paid for. I don't take a position on that one way or another, but I wanted to explain to you the nature of the application so that you understand that this is a zero-sum game. Those improvements have to be paid for. So the issue is the developer, the charter school, doesn't feel like it should pay for those improvements, and the city's ordinances and rules said they should pay for those developments, and that's really the issue. I hope that.
And the other issue I think is important is that the developers trying to bypass us to go directly to the parents to try to get us to get them exempt, and I think that's been really inappropriate. So, Ms. Lobos, and then Mayor Bell, Ms. Lobos, Ms. Waldman, and then Mr. Hage.
Thank you, Mayor Bell. You know, I'm really conflicted tonight. I am so uncomfortable watching all these parents come forth and pour out your heart, because I am you. I was before the Miami-Dade School Board pouring my heart out when they were
proposing to slash budgets and to affect our students. And I mean, I stood up there and kind of like helplessly just said, school board members, understand that this function and this function is necessary for our students, it's necessary. I've stood before them as a city councilwoman and I've stood before them as a parent. So I have to tell you that everything that you've said tonight, I am in accordance with. I think that what Mayor Bell said, I mean, when we ran on our campaign platform and even as we stand here before you, nobody worked harder than us, and our number one priority is exactly that. All the school problems that you talked about. One of the emails, I think I said that I love this city. I love to work, I take pride in what's good about it, and I love to work on the challenges that there are. And one of the biggest challenges, we recognize we're part of it. We're in the schools, anything. The cafeteria school lady tells us that we need to go down there to visually see that there aren't enough tables and chairs for the students. We go down there and we try to persuade the board member, hey, this is not acceptable. Our students need, and this is very basic of things. But to get to the heart of what you guys are asking tonight, and I'm just going to speak for myself, my vote, I met with Mr. Davis back there and a couple of other people in the room. And I'm going to pick on one of the parents. He mentioned X and Y, and he wasn't stopped. So I'm going to use X and Y, and I won't be stopped in addressing this issue. X stands for what the developers want. Y stands for the City of Homestead position. And I met with Mr. Davis, and I saw before me the end product, and I loved it. And I said that. I love what is before me. This would be great for the City of Homestead. What is the obstacle? The obstacle was the difference between what X is being proposed and what Y is being proposed. So what do? I want to come up. I always sit at this dais, and whenever there's conflict, I want to come to a working solution. And I don't grandstand to get the applause. I'm not going to tell you things that you want to hear so I can get the applause. I want a working solution. I want a working solution for the people that are before us and for the staff. So I asked the city staff, what are the possible solutions here? What the developers are proposing in X was something that was presented to me.
Excuse me, you're really getting into this. I know that everybody feels strong. You're really getting into the substance.
Okay, let me try to make it more vague. But, I mean, Richard, this is really... X is the goal, and there needed to be a formula to get to X. There was a statement that was made to me, and I asked, what is the evidence for it? Because you simply just can't be the developer, come before me, make a statement, and not produce evidence or paperwork that says, this is the reason why we believe so. I asked the city staff, X can be compromised. We can come to this X, but what is the evidence for it? What is the evidence for it? City staff is more than willing. They more than one time told you that we're willing to go to your X if this produces evidence. You just simply can't come as a developer and not present evidence for that X. I'm all for your product. If what you say is a formula to reach X and you have the evidence for that, let's move forward. That's what's keeping it. But the ball is in your court now. You've been told what the evidence is to get to that X, to get to that product that everybody here wants. I don't have the resources. I don't have that evidence. I don't believe anybody on council does. It is your evidence to present to city staff to reach that conclusion, to move forward. Let's move forward with this. What can I do with my one vote? I can't do anything. I don't get paid by the developers, thankfully. I can honestly tell you that. Nobody's paying me to do anything but what is in the best interest of this city. But I don't do the research for them. I can't go and start researching their proposal and then say I'm going to be a champion for that cause. I simply can't. But if they would provide the evidence that I asked for at that meeting, that is being asked, I believe we can move forward. And that is the one, you see, all your peers here, without you coming here, if they would have just moved forward with that one thing that is being asked to document that, to support that, we would not be here because we would have been moving forward. So what can I as one vote do here? Nothing. I don't work for you. I can't champion your cause. I can only do what I can do. And right now, as I'm doing it, I know a lot of the parents at Keysgate. As a matter of fact, my son attended Air Base Elementary, and when that school was being built, a lot of the parents switched over to Keysgate. I didn't, because my son liked being at Air Base Elementary. Our friends, our neighbors, our principals, teachers there, we're you. This is the wonderful thing about being in local government, is that we are where we make the laws. We're affected by everything that we do. Unlike the state, unlike the federal government, we are at the heart of the city. So if there was right now, if there was really something that I could vote on, something that I could decide right now, something to say to the staff, legally, this is how we can move forward, I would do it.
But there is nothing here without the developers, without Charter Schools USA coming to the table and owning up to the evidence that is to be produced to move forward.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lobos. I want to also say really quickly, all your shirts approve our school. We're not stopping it. Ms. Waldman.
Thank you. When I started getting your emails, I went back and I keep a lot of the old minutes, and I remember when this PUD was approved, and I'm just waiting for the stop word. But I have information that I would love to be able to share tonight. I have information that there's a possibility of being grandfathered. I know that there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about, but I'm afraid that I might jeopardize your position even further if I bring out all the research that I have done. However, I do know, and I know because I've asked questions, that there has been numerous meetings, and I'd really love to ask Mr. David, how many meetings? I know that there have been so many meetings at this city regarding this issue. I don't know why the actual application was not made until October 19th or whenever that date was, but could one of you, Mr. Haig or Mr. David particularly, if you could let me know that answer without jeopardizing our position here as a quasi-judicial?
Ms. Waldman. I would defer to your staff attorneys. Obviously, they have a position on how the quasi-judicial hearing has to be held.
I'm just asking how many meetings you have.
I think we can talk about the procedure of how you get to you. You make an application, and in order to get to this dais after you go to planning and zoning, you have to have a concurrency certificate. And that's why we can't get to you, so we don't agree.
Well, I won't ask you any more questions. I just want to finish up.
And we've met with your staff a number of times, and we can document it.
Okay. I think we can do something here, and that is that I can ask the attorneys and staff and manager to bring it to us at the December 8th meeting and let us vote it up or let us vote it down. We can do something. So I don't know why we can't do that. And I'm not grandstanding either. But please understand, I'm not grandstanding. But I do think that there is something that we can do. Bring it to us. Take that figure X. Take that figure Y. Allow us to be able to make the argument, because I feel like my hands are really tied tonight and I can't say what I really want to say. So bring it to us. And will it be brought to us? When will it be brought to us? I'm just going to ask it. When will it be brought to us?
Mr. Manager, would you please respond to, I have to have clarification. I want a response from you and Ms. Kamali on the so many meetings, please.
Mayor, council members, this is the first time I actually get involved with this discussion. There was discussion with Shri and them about concurrency. This is the first time I get involved with it. So when will it come back? I don't really know. When Shri sent them a letter back in October asking for information, she's still waiting. Regarding grandfathering, absolutely not. It cannot be grandfathered in under the original approval.
Are you going to be, if you're allowed to talk about it, can I talk about it?
You're talking about the PUD. We're not talking about the...
I'm talking about the PUD and when it was approved and when the traffic concurrency was brought forth and how that site has always been a school site.
Yeah, once we start to talk about the traffic concurrency, when it was approved, I mean, I'm really trying to be as...
Okay, just be
trying to be
careful,
but I'm trying to... I understand that this is a difficult issue, but I don't want this to destroy the record that we're going to make in the quasi-judicial procedure. I mean, if the manager wants to answer questions about when this was discussed and so forth, I think that's fine, or Ms. Kamali, but in terms about what's further than that, I wouldn't feel that touch. Right?
Okay, there was no meetings with me. There was a meeting with me and Tom David, I think sometime, I don't know, when I first became a manager.
Back in January?
Talk about changing the code and all that stuff, but that was really the only meeting I had with them. There was no meeting with Joanna Faddis, the assistant manager. So...
Ms. Kamali, was there meetings with you on this issue?
I have met on many occasions with the applicants, starting from last November when they came to us and we told them they do need to go through concurrency. They came back before you, they wanted to get exemption, and we told them they can't, they have to go through the process. The first time they came and put us application was April of this year. They told us that we are working with DCA to get the exemption from DCA. That's one of the reasons we allow them to move forward, which is against our code. However, we are trying to work with them and try to make sure that we can provide them with as much help as we can so they can move forward by opening the date for their school.
I think that's very important to note that we did allow them to move forward even without the certificate of, or the application on concurrency. We were very gracious and allowed them to almost bypass this step because they stated themselves that they were going to get some type of an exemption, and we allowed them to proceed based on that. We have bent over backwards. You know what, I'm telling you, I am really challenged though by Ms. Waldman, I have to say, by challenging staff, and I'm challenged because
I'm not challenging staff, I'm just saying I knew that they had many meetings. Well, Ms. Kamali just said they had meetings.
But you know, it's so easy to stand up here and quite frankly speak to the crowd because it's the popular thing to do. It's easy to do that. You know what? Listen, I'm going to just be blunt here. Ms. Waldman you voted against the school to become a charter school.
You bet I did. I voted against academia because it was a polluted piece of ground.
Oh no,
and
that's why there's a school there right now.
And also,
that's not true.
If you directed it to me, I'm going to answer you.
Not true.
Also, it was proven, matter of record, that piece of property always belonged to the school board, and we proved it. So there's nothing I can say about it, but I'll be happy to tell you anything you want to hear.
No, that piece of property was designated to be a public school. That piece of property, all simply would have needed was a notice of proposed change to be conveyed to the school, to be conveyed to the city, and we were going to convey it directly to a charter school. That was going to happen. It was a political stunt. It was a political stunt because Rudy Crew and Evelyn Greer made a personal request not to do it, and Evelyn Greer was allowed to come up here and sit in this dais to get that to be voted against, that becoming a charter school. I've been a fighter and a proponent of charter schools since day one, and I don't appreciate the grandstanding at all, especially when we're contradicting staff that I know is honest and upright. I don't appreciate it. I care very much about what happens in this community, and we're not voting against the school. The issue is concurrency, and the issue is state. We won't talk about that. The issue is state law. Mr. Hage.
Madam Mayor, I'm kind of like a one-legged guy in a horse race with you here because I don't feel like we have a chance to really lay all the issues out because of the restrictions. So all I guess I would ask is there a venue where parents, I'd love to have parents there, that'd be great, but whatever venue is appropriate for your council and for you, whereby we could settle this matter and move forward. I know you're not against the school, so all I'm asking is that you vote on it. So we've been trying to get it through a process. We've come to a dead end. It's not allowed to come to the agenda for this city. We've been told in emails, I haven't printed out, unless it goes through the P&Z and is finalized with an $800,000 check to you. If we can't come to the city, how else are we supposed to come here? This is the only avenue we've had to do this. Do you think anyone wants to spend their evening and their time and their kids to wait through an entire city meeting to be here, Mayor? We do not. You have a great school. You could be a hero here. This is a chance to get on the right side of history and to say, let's move forward with the program. It is not, I would like for you to point out one item on the handout that was handed out to the parents, because you've impugned my character tonight. I have not impugned yours. I've not talked about your integrity, but you sat there and you impugned my character, okay? As a person who runs one of the largest charter school companies in the country, okay, helps tens of thousands of children, I find that offensive. Please tell me what on here is wrong, infactual, or misleading, please.
Yes, certainly I will.
Please.
And I will actually ask staff to continue.
Please.
But Mr. Hage, I'm sorry if the truth impugned your character, but you're the one that rallied the parents to come here tonight. You're the one that's trying to bypass a process by law that's planning and zoning that everybody else has to go through, Mr. Hage. You know what? These aren't the old days of the good old boy network where you could just bypass the staff, bring things to the council, and get them approved. We have a process. It is a legal process. You know what? I can be a hero tonight. Let me tell you what. You know what to me a hero is? Doing the right thing, the legal thing, the appropriate thing, and I won't be bullied and I won't be blackmailed because I'm going to do the right thing for the parents. I'm going to do the right thing for the children. Nobody is saying no to a school. You have one person that's trying to get away without paying their fair share. That's the bottom line. Now let's talk about these issues. We must, the ultimate goal is the eventual high school at a new and separate site needed to accommodate the progression of K-8 students moving through Keys Gate. Second, another bullet point, we need a second feeder school to fill a high school. Again, you told me sitting in that office that you were ready to break ground for a high school if you could get the special exemption permit for the Park of Commerce. Did you not?
Mayor, if I may respond, because I would like to be very clear about this, and I'm on the record, and I'd be happy to put my hand up and testify on the door of...
Just say it, Mr.
Well, I just want to be clear, because I'm being accused of something that's not true. We have actually applied for a high school under the current charter 3 years ago. We went through a process for 2 years trying to find and identify land for a high school. You yourself and others were advocates for trying to find a high school. I've never disputed that tonight. No one here is disputing that. No one's impugning character. No one's saying that you're saying any untruths. But when you say that we asked for a high school and never explained that there would be a feeder school, that's not correct. What we've told the parents, and the parents can verify right now, is that when you have only 175 or so 8th graders in our current school, which is the current makeup of the school, has K through 8, about 1,100 student stations, and if you build a high school, that high school would be somewhere in the range of 1,600 to 2,000 student stations to be an appropriate high school size for football and programs and extracurriculars and all the things that are necessary in a high-quality high school like we run in other cities. And in that case, we'd have about 400 seats in that 9th grade class. If we just open a high school tomorrow, okay, if we go out and try to build a high school tomorrow, which we would never do unless you had enough 8th graders, then the 300 or 250 seats left over that aren't filled by the Keys Gate students would be filled up by anyone else in the county, not just in your city, under state law. And under that situation, you would not have any way to ensure that the quality of what you've built over the last 9 years would continue moving forward. I can tell you, these parents have told me, and they'll tell you tonight, that it's important for them that the high school not just be a charter school, that it be a high-quality high school, an A school. That would be the plan. Knowing how A schools work, we know that when we grow our own and those 8th graders come up, so a second K-8...
Let me stop you on that thought, because I need to understand something that you just said. You only want your kids to go to your high school. You don't want anybody...
Your kids. These are your kids, Mayor.
What you just
These are
said,
your kids. This is your citizens.
You just said that you only wanted the Keys Gate Charter School kids.
I did not say that. I said that the Keys Gate School kids would have a... Please, I'll be very clear.
Okay, guys, we can end the hearing now, or we can actually finish this. Now, I'm not understanding. I know there's a lot of kids in Homestead who would be happy to go to a high school, a Keys Gate High School. With your discipline, with your quality of education, with your quality of teacher, with your quality of kids, and your quality of parents, I know you have enough kids to open up a high school right now. So what are you saying?
School would fail academically if we did it your way. If you want a successful school,
why?
You build a school that has charter school kids moving mostly into high school. If they want to get into high school, they start in the charter schools. They come through the program. Let me just finish.
Wait a minute. So my grandson, who's at South Bay Middle School, who's an honor student and who's off the charts gifted, wouldn't be qualified to come to your school because he's not going through the charter school system. You just said
I didn't say that.
We wouldn't have a problem. We have a failing school.
That's not what I said, Mayor. What I said was that standalone high schools that don't have feeder schools already set up for it with successful middle schools coming up, you are setting yourself up for failure. If you want a successful high school in this city, I can give you a successful high school. But here's how you have to do it. You have to set up a system where you have enough kids coming from successful middle schools to make sure that the high school is not set up where the kids are 2, 3, and 4 years below grade level with academic issues starting in day one. I'm not sure why that's hard to understand. That's the way it works. The standalone high schools fail because what they do is they tend to, they're no better than any public school at that point. So if you want a high-quality charter school, then you need a high-quality elementary and middle school feeding that. I'm not sure.
Mr. White, I know you, Mr. White, Mr. Manager and Mr. White, yes, and then we're going to close it.
I know you referred to a meeting you had with Charter School USA in the conference room, and which I really didn't attend. However, I met with the property owner and the bar commerce, Wayne Rosen, and Jose Fuentes, who's now a lobbyist for Charter School USA. I don't think he was a lobbyist then, but he's a lobbyist for Wayne Rosen, and Joanna Fadis. They were saying if we allow the use on the bar commerce to be a charter school, again, there was nobody from Charter School USA, but the property owner was saying if we allow Charter School USA, we'll build the high school the next day.
I want the parents to understand something.
We would build it for 2010. I'm not disputing what you just said. You said, Mayor, that we would begin at high school now. We have a charter for a high school. We will commence construction, and we will build that for 2010. It takes about 18 months to put a high school together. We can build the K-8 by this fall and have it open, and we can have the high school open by the next year. That's what I told the parents. I've been very clear about this.
Thank you. I'm telling these parents right now that this is a bait and switch, and I'm going to stick with that, because I sat in a meeting about 4 months ago with the owners of the land at the questioned land, Mr. Rosen and Mr. Latner, and Charter Schools USA, and attorneys, and Lisa Maxwell was also there, as well as Joanna, Ms. Kamali, and I am telling you all, I was told that if we could grant them a special use exemption, they would put shovels in the ground immediately when you have it. We could have our high school up there by 2009. No mention of feeder schools. No mention of feeder schools, no mention of needing one more K through 8. It's a lot less expensive to build a K through 8 than it is to build a high school. That's the bait and switch. Let's get another K through 8 school. A lot of money. Okay, you know what? I am telling you right now, we're having a meeting on this tomorrow. I am going to end discussion right now, Mr. Hage. This is going nowhere. We're really off topic because nobody is stopping an approval of a school. It's not about approving a school. It's about a developer and a for-profit corporation not wanting to pay their fair share.
I would just like to correct the record on
Mr. White.
Madam Mayor, just before Mr. White speaks, what I wanted to say was there was a question, I think Councilman Goldman asked why it took so long to get here. The truth is, and the record will document it, is that Charter School USA, and this was their right, they spent about, I'm going to say 6 months trying to convince us that concurrency didn't apply. That's the truth. They wrote letter after letter. I mean, we had several letters back and forth. They asked us to do legal research. We did it. And the reason that that happened was they spent a lot of time doing that. And I met with them in my office as a courtesy to Mr. David and another attorney there. And James and I told them, how do you get this up in front of council? And we said the reason it's not in front of council is because you haven't filed your application for concurrency review. And I think probably right after that meeting, they came and filed their application. But the truth is also, as I think this has been made, is that we did try to accommodate them against our advice, by the way, because we allowed them to move ahead in the process before they had their concurrency set up in order to try to expedite this. But I really think that a lot of this delay, and the reason that it's coming up, time is short is what they were saying, is because I'm certain that there was at least, James, correct me if I'm wrong, at least 6 months when there was they tried to, and they had the right to do it, to convince us basically that traffic concurrency didn't apply to charter schools because they were like public schools, and there was a lot of, but I think that delayed this process a lot. I wouldn't have suggested that they do that, but that's one of the reasons why we are. James, I don't know if you want to add anything.
I was just going to add that with regard to the process for an application for concurrency, the determination is first made by staff. If an applicant is unhappy or unsatisfied with that determination, they are able to seek redress with the city manager. The city manager would then rule on the application. If they are still unhappy with that, then they can avail themselves of an appeal to you as a city council. And that's that's where we are at this point. We're in that process. You're not even going to hear the site plan or see the site plan until the concurrency issue is resolved. That's the way your code is set up. That's the way the application process is set up. So you identify the transportation impacts or whatever concurrency impacts or implications may be up front. You identify those, you address those, and your certificate of concurrency is your card, your hall pass, to move through the development process.
Thank you so much.
Just to
Mr. Manager.
Something James said, just to make it very clear, he said the process, if they disagree, they come to me. If they disagree with my decision, they come to you. The fact they come tonight, they skip a step.
I know.
They actually did not submit the information required.
They bypassed the staff
Madam
again.
Madam Mayor, just a clarification.
Yes,
We
quickly, we're going to close this
began
meeting.
negotiating concurrency with the city around December 12th, 2007.
And I did meet with
that's,
you.
Ma'am, we have negotiated in good faith with the city, and we have agreed on two tracks, basically. We're saying we still do not believe that we're subject to concurrency because we have public infrastructure. Your attorneys disagree. So we also said, okay, well, let's try to negotiate a concurrency arrangement. We have not been able to come to an agreement. That's why we're here. That's all. We can't get to you otherwise unless we have some relief from the leadership of the city. That's all we're asking
Mr.
for.
David, the one meeting I did have with you, you were maintaining that you were exempt from concurrency, and that was the battle for quite a long time, that you were completely exempt. And then now that's where you spent the majority of your time saying that you were exempt.
Just to be very clear, we've
Well,
also
people
been
understand the time.
negotiating with the city, with your staff, with our traffic engineers since at least December. I have the first phone conference we had with our traffic engineer and Ms. Kamali was December 12, 2007. I've documented meetings almost every month since that time.
Excuse me.
By the way, just to say for the record, your staff has been absolutely wonderful to us. I have no personal objection to any of this. We have a very, our particular concern has to do with the fact that we feel stuck. That's all. And we're running, and we can say we're not, we're running out of time, I mean, the proof will be in the pudding on that question.
Ms. Kamali.
Yes, I just want to clarify. Yes, they came to us, and from the beginning we told them they do need to go to the concurrency, and they went through every step to fight us to doing the application for the concurrency. They are talking about negotiation. Our code is very clear on what the methodology has to be and how they have to move forward with the traffic study. Unfortunately, they want to do another methodology that is not standard. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, I cannot get to those details.
The bottom line is the meetings that were being heard were about them not paying, about avoiding the...
Exactly. Other than that, if we have had 10 meetings, I have put my time and effort to work in this project for at least as much as I've been in the meeting, an additional investigation that I have to do to everything that I have to do for this project.
Madam Mayor, I can document with emails and transmissions.
We have the documents.
I have no trouble having a discussion about this.
Plus the traffic engineer for one of the largest firms in the state is here to testify as well, if you'd like to hear from him.
Mayor,
We did the traffic engineer study.
There is no testifying right now. That's the cause of judicial...
That's the reason we're here, because you haven't given us...
You're here because you bypassed the staff once again.
No, we're here because if you don't pay $800,000, we don't get to you.
Mr. Hage, no, you spent 6 months first saying that you didn't know anything, trying to avoid it. You spent your time, you just submitted your application for concurrency 1 month ago.
Pay the money to come to you.
Thank you very much. That's it, it's over. Mr. White.
We just said that. We're hearing it if you thought I said that.
Can we come to a hearing without... Please don't insult me.
No, I'm not insulting you, but don't start putting words into my mouth.
But you said we had to get it. Can you tell me how I can get to the...
Mr. Hage, stop over-talking.
Madam Mayor, not to kill the party, but our rules say that if the meeting goes past 10:30, you need a vote.
I know.
I let it go an extra 5 minutes.
But we have an issue. Mr. Hage, you keep over-talking the manager. You did the same thing with me on the conference call.
If the meeting's going to continue, you need to have a vote to continue the meeting.
I just want to continue it just to hear what the manager has to say. A motion for approval?
Do it for a particular period of time if you don't mind.
3 minutes.
Mayor, I did not say they have to pay $800,000. I said...
Wait, did we approve the
I heard
extension?
$800,000. I said their engineers are capable of coming with other solutions that if to meet concurrency. I don't know. If it costs them $10, I don't really care. We meet the state statute. But if they want to go proportionate fair share based on a project we have approved in the city, that's the calculations they came up with, correct, Sheree?
Yes, I want to make sure that number is not a number that they have done any research on.
Right, there's no number yet. Okay.
That's right.
Okay, guys? Right, okay? I think we're confusing everybody even more so. Mr. White?
I think to respond to saying the simple answer is he will get his day before the city council, before you all, to look at this project if and when he files his appeal to the certificate of concurrency. It's my understanding right now the application is pending with the planning department. And we have a meeting tomorrow. I'm assuming that after that meeting, there would be some direction on either part as to where they proceed. I don't know what the outcome of that meeting is going to be. I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainties with respect to that meeting.
Sure.
Mayor Bell?
Sure.
If I may, one last question.
Mayor Bell, you really can't do this. You really
I'm sorry, I can't. If I open the floor to you, I have to open the floor to everybody. I can't open the floor again. I'm sorry.
Could you at
I
least
cannot
have
open the floor.
conversations about this? Because in good faith...
Excuse me, we already are having a meeting tomorrow with the developer. That's already on the record.
We really do appreciate
Okay, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I really tell you what, I do appreciate parental involvement. I'd like to see here at a lot of council meetings. So thank you very much. With no further business to attend to, thank God this meeting is adjourned.
When they submitted their certificate, when they submitted their application, it goes to everyone.